Today is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? You may be seated. I got your mic, I'm sorry. Our committee meetings are hereby called to order. Board members, we'll start with Board Member Hewitt Garcia, and we'll go around and everyone introduce yourselves, please.
Amber Hewitt Garcia, Board Member, District 8.
Joyce Doris Coleman, District 9.
Roderick Richmond, Interim Superintendent.
Stephanie Love, District 3.
Natalie McKinney, District 2.
Keith Williams, District 6, retired educator of 57 years in this district.
He's like ready.
Wayne Johnson, Head of Communications.
Gary Hanna, Chief of Staff.
Michelle Stewart, Facilities.
Shante Broadway, Chief of Student Support.
Alicia Kiner, Deputy Chief of Academic.
Deborah Stanford, Regional Superintendent, IZOM.
Terrence Brittenham, Regional Superintendent, Northwest Region.
Kimberly Chandler, Northeast Regional Superintendent.
Alicia Brooks, Regional Superintendent, Southwest Region.
Kevin Malone, Operations.
Cedric Smith, Director of Operations.
Amy Maples, Curriculum and Instruction.
Rachel Aston, Teaching and Learning.
Tyvalyn Gordon, Executive Director for Early Childhood.
Richard Baroa, IT.
Justin Bailey, General Counsel.
Arlandra Parker, Charter Schools.
Bill White, Research, Evaluation, Accountability, and Data Strategy.
LaShonda Brooks, Human Resources.
Angela Whitelaw, Chief Academic Officer.
T.R. Langston, Business Operations.
We will begin with our Community Outreach and Engagement Committee.
Hello. I'm going to begin with Tennis Memphis. Mr. Tripp Willis, come to the microphone. And you have his presentation in the green folder.
Hello, board members. Thank you for having me today. I'm here on behalf of Tennis Memphis. We are a not-for-profit catering to the greater Memphis area. If we could go to the next slide. So our mission at Tennis Memphis is building a better community and enhancing lives through tennis and education. Myself, I am the NJTL manager. That is the National Junior Tennis and Learning, founded by Arthur Ashe. And education is very important to us at Tennis Memphis, and that's why I'm here today. But what does our mission really mean? If we could go to the next slide. So as a sports-based youth community development organization, we strive to serve the health, tennis, and educational needs of the greater Memphis area. And with caring adults who serve as coaches, teachers, mentors, we provide a place of support and belonging at a critical time in a young person's development. So based on that, what are the needs of Memphis? This has been a question I've been asking myself since I took the role last year. If we could go to the next slide. So what issues does the Memphis community face? So I started with tennis. Less than 20% of public middle schools have a tennis team. Less than 30% of public high schools have a tennis team. These numbers all came from the census. They're not recent, I believe they were 2023, and that is the stats. 21% of students are overweight or obese, 68% of students' families are on some kind of financial assistance, 17% of high school students tested at or above the proficient level for reading, 5% tested at or above that for math, and so on. So what can Tennis Memphis do to help with these issues? Next slide. So these are USTA foundational stats. 48% of players have an A average in school. More than 70% of players go on to some form of higher education. More than 80% actively volunteer in their community. Less than 7% of players are overweight or obese. Less than 15% of players have ever had any disciplinary action in school. And tennis empowers players with tools to make physically and psychologically healthy decisions moving forward in their life. Next. So our number one mission is to bring visibility and accessibility to tennis. Our middle school pathway program that you'll find on the very last page on the other side. It's our Red Ball Middle School Pathway. And then we offer additional educational program. Our tennis and tutoring is geared towards middle school students. It's 1 hour with a certified teacher who has contact with parents and teachers. Followed by 1 hour of tennis instruction. We also provide a healthy snack during that time. We just got access to IBM Skills Build, which is $160,000 of online IBM classes that are offered from everything from AI to digital programming and many, many other facets, which is amazing. And we are going to offer that to anyone 13 and up, since 13 is the age of internet consent in the state of Tennessee. Then our NJTL Life Skills packet. During the summer camps especially, we go over each week a different theme of life skills with social emotional learning. Everything from bullying to peer pressure and how to deal with those situations. We also have access to Windward Academy for free through USTA. And that is a college preparatory service. They do ACT, SAT training classes, one-on-one tutoring in some subjects. Then our partnerships with other organizations, the USTA Foundation, the NJTL. We partner with Lemoyne Owen College at Bellevue Tennis Center, CBU, and the MTA. We have a representative here supporting me tonight as well, or this afternoon, excuse me. So what I'm asking for is to have access for us to provide free programming in middle schools in Memphis. Starting in the Whitehaven neighborhood, I've identified 4 schools, and I've talked to either an athletic director or somebody in the administration there. But we have problems in the past of getting permission from a school, showing up, and it not being available that day or something like that. So I just wanted to get permission from the board to go into these schools at no cost and provide these programs to the kids during either PE or recess time. Thank you.
Any questions from my board members?
I'd like to ask, have you...
You did state that you interviewed in some schools. These
Yes, sir.
numbers seem to be way off from the numbers that the district present and the state. There's certainly not a high school in Whitehaven whose data would represent this. So I'm curious as to where you got it from and what your purpose is here.
Those numbers.
Correct data.
Yes, sir. Which numbers are you referring to? Okay. I got these from the state website, and I believe the date was 2023 on them.
2023?
Yes, sir. I said that when I was
2 years ago?
Yes, sir.
So that's not
That was the most recent I could find.
not the most recent data the state has.
He said
Yes, sir.
that in his presentation.
I'm telling
Yes.
you, when you don't put stuff that's that old, because it's not like you're coming here making a case for what's going on in the school, and tennis is going to change that. I see very little correlation between the game of tennis and academic achievement. I mean, all of it speaks together in a circle, but I do not like the idea of impugning what is going on in the district as we speak, because our data speaks for itself, and it's not this data.
Yes, sir. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. What I would advise, have you spoken to Ms. Weaver?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Weaver is the district-wide athletic director for our athletic programming. We have approximately 20 high schools now who currently participate in tennis. What I would just kind of tell you to do would be to speak to her, because what we would like to do is, if we have 20 high schools who currently participate in tennis, we can support the program by looking at what are those feeder middle schools to those high schools. So the best place to start is Miss India Weaver. I'll tell her, I'll take your information. I'll tell her to reach out to you. You can talk to her about those middle schools. Now, what I will say as a caveat is, we can share that you provide this, but the interest will have to be generated by you and or the students. So I don't want to misrepresent if we say, hey, you can go to this school, that students are going to be interested, because they may or may not. But we will support you in, if schools are interested and there's an adult there, what we've got to look at is this going to be something that's going to be supported by an adult at the school, or is this going to be something supported by you and your organization? And if that's what's going to happen, I don't see Dr. Stevenson, but it would require for us to look at this as what you would call kind of like a club team. And we would need you to get with our partnerships office for you or whomever is going to oversee this, to go through the necessary background checks in order for you to provide this as a club team. Currently, we do not pay what's called a coaching stipend for tennis in middle school. So we would have to budget that. But if you're wanting to do it as a club sport, we can support you in doing it at those middle schools that you can share with Mrs. Weaver. Then we'll do an introduction with the athletic director as well as the principal to see if there's an interest in.
Yes, sir. I am fully funded for the next 2.5 years, and so it would be at no cost. Yes, sir. For parents, for family engagement, for between the bells, everything for coaches, and we're all Safe Play certified and have background checks as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So when we conclude here, you can speak with Ms. Stevenson. She'll get your information, and we'll share with Ms. Weaver, and we'll coordinate a meeting for you to proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Superintendent, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
20 schools, are they spread across the district?
I'm sure they are. I'll get a list. But again, particularly with tennis, it would be about interest. Every school has a coaching stipend for tennis if there's interest across the district. But I'll get the list of 20 schools who currently have a tennis team.
Yes, sir, I wanted to. Thank you so much for this. This is, my father tried to get me into tennis, and I wouldn't go back and forth on him, but it's a great sport. And so I really appreciate you doing what you're doing in terms of making sure that this is something that our students will have access to.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I think it's along the lines of what I think Board Member Love and Dr. Richmond said. I would love to see, since we're going into our regions and we have the feeder pattern, strategy, is if we could determine whether this is something we could offer and see if we have interest across the regions within our those middle school feeder patterns. So I don't know. I just want to make sure that we're dealing with equity of access, at least offering it.
Every high school can field a tennis team.
Okay.
Last year we had 8 male teams
Okay.
and 9 female teams. I think it's just generating the interest. I agree with you. Whenever we're trying to generate interest in something, the earlier we start, the more we'll be able to build program. And again, that's why we wanted to take the feeder pattern approach. So what I would like for us to do would be to look at where were those 8 boys teams, 9 girls teams, and see if we could back map that to a middle school team, which would then feed into those school teams.
So let me ask a question, next question. Are you willing to go across the district? Because you seem like you were focusing on Whitehaven.
Well, I have 5 neighborhoods. I was going to start with Whitehaven and then expand to Bellevue, then Raleigh, then Fraser, where we have tennis centers.
You have okay.
So the TNT, or tennis and tutoring, the in-schools would be with a red ball net and decompressed balls. You'd be playing with tiny rackets on a 36-foot court. It would just be the exposure. That's what we want to give. We want tennis to be an option for kids first. And then whoever's interested, we would feed in to our TNT program in the afternoons, and then hopefully they would want to get in our junior development program full time. And we would scholarship them all at no cost, and then summer camps, which we operate 8 weeks a year during the summer from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then the hope would be that the next following fall, they would feel confident and have the skill set to go out there and compete, because unfortunately tennis is a very complicated sport. So when people go out there, they don't have a good experience the first time and then they quit. So I was trying to build a pathway where everyone could have success based on your athleticism, whatever it is. And we targeted Eldon Rourke first because I grew up playing at Eldon Rourke in Whitehaven. And we have a TNT program there already that's successful. And so that was going to be our first spot, and then we were going to expand from one neighborhood to another where we have facilities at. And we have 6 facilities across the greater Memphis area.
Okay, I was just wondering if you were open to exploring
Yes, ma'am, we're
that.
very open. I'll go wherever I need to go.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
I have a question. Are you a part of the community center in Fraser?
We're connected to the community center. Unfortunately, when they did the remodel, they ran out of money, so the tennis center kind of got left in the dust.
I know.
We are currently considered unusable. We're not allowed to run power or water to that building, but the folks at Ed Rice are nice enough to let our kids come in there, use the restroom. We get ice there during the summer. We still operate out of that facility. We're hoping Parks and Rec can find some money to get that center operational, and Wooddale as well.
How many kids do you have in the summertime?
Our summer camp programs, I haven't seen the numbers from this past summer yet, but I can tell you last year we were over 1,200 at all of our facilities combined.
Thank you. I want to thank you for the presentation. And I know very little about tennis, except for Serena and her sister, a great tennis player.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we will be recognized at the U.S. Open this year as one of 10 places to receive that grant I was telling you about that were fully funded. So if y'all are watching on the 25th.
Anybody
Thank you
else
so much.
has a question? Thank you for the presentation. We are moving right along. Everyone should have this printout. Community engagement meeting with the district. Read over it and comment. And Roslyn is having a meeting with the organizers tomorrow. Read over it, and Roslyn is having a meeting with the organizers tomorrow. If you want to give your input, Danisha Clark is the point person. And this
The email references that we voted during a committee, which is not a voting meeting. Can you clarify where the official vote was on moving forward with the plan developed by an external organization? I'm confused.
That was a typo. We don't vote in a committee meeting. That was a typo.
Well, they have a vote count, so that's extra confusing to me as a dissenting voice on this. So we're doing this. There's no vote.
Yeah. We are doing this if you want to participate or not. There is a typo. We haven't had a vote because there isn't a vote in committee meeting. And I will clarify that in my email.
Does the district, so if we don't engage in this, there will be no formal community engagement plan from the district communications team or family engagement team? Like, is this the official structure?
So I think, Board Member Hewitt Garcia, I think that there's no either or, it can be both and. This is something that we have agreed, most of us have agreed to do in conjunction with community. And so we want to do this with them, and as opposed to just creating something and doing it and inviting them to it. So I think we still have the opportunity to do completely district planned community engagement sessions. So I think this is these are two different things in two different ways.
Okay. We're using agreement again, and there's been no vote, but okay.
I will clarify that in an email today, because there is no vote taken on committee meetings. Any more questions? This committee meeting is adjourned.
We move right on to Policy, Governance, and Legislation Committee meeting.
Thank you, Chair Coleman. Does anyone have anything to add to the agenda? All right, I think what we will do is begin the governance update. If you all recall, we agreed to do governance training. And so the first part of our governance training will be board relations, which we will be doing on Friday in Nashville with TSBA. The second part of this was to engage in governance training, to be trained on someone to help us with a governance plan, and also to help us with beginning to look at our vision, mission, and goals as we proceed into the next 3 to 5 years, given that Destination 2025 is here and about to be fleeting and gone. So what we did is we requested information, we put out an RFI, and we got information back from, I believe it's 4 organizations. But if you recall, during our February retreat meeting, we also got some information from Council for Great City Schools and also from school board partners. So what I asked for our board office to do is to give us copies of those proposals for you to take a look at. And what I asked them to do is I went through them. Some of them were like 100 pages, and I tried to just get the cover letter and then the scope of work, so you all could see what they were proposing to do. If you would take a look through this, and I would like to be able to put on board work session for discussion which ones we would like to go with, and discuss whichever ones you want to. There are 6 of them, so that we can then proceed to vote on the particular organization or consultant that will help us with our governance, and we can begin that work. Does anybody have any suggestions, revisions, as we move forward with this?
Just to clarify, during our work session, we want to agree on a single proposal to discuss. So should we email you feedback prior to that, or we want to discuss all of them?
No, I think, I don't need the feedback. I think we should discuss that at the board work session.
But you don't want a consensus on which one goes on the work session agenda. We're going to talk about all of them.
Okay.
Is
If that's what you all want to do.
No, that was I'm clarifying.
Yeah. I am, because that is agreeing to something, I want us to talk about it in public, and I don't know why. I want people to be able to say why they want this one or don't want this one.
I agree. That's why I thought I'm
not asking for feedback before the board work session.
Got it.
I think it's during the board work session where we do the feedback. What I'm asking for people to do is to read all of the proposals so you can make your informed decisions about why you want to go with a particular one.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
Okay. No. We now have board policies. I think that's next. I gotta find. Yep, policy update. Ms. Stewart.
Thank you. If it's okay with you, Superintendent Richmond, I would like to introduce the board to Alicia Green. She's returning to the district, and to our department as a policy advisor. And for those of you on the board who do not remember Alicia Green, she was in the office before I became a policy advisor, and she is a superstar. So I'm so happy to have her back. So you will be seeing her at the podium more than me. All right, so we have several policies tonight, but it should be an easy lift. The first policy is number 1009. Non-discrimination statements, and it begins on red page number 1 if anyone's controlling. Thank you. We're just providing general cleanup language to align with applicable federal and state requirements that prohibit discrimination. Recently, the Tennessee General Assembly enacted a law that states that we cannot discriminate on any basis, while you know that federal law specifies that we cannot discriminate based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, age, and genetic information. So that language is included in the draft. We've also included language regarding the prohibition against retaliation and coercion as outlined in federal law. On red page 2, we are proposing additional language to better align our policy with Title IX requirements by prohibiting all forms of sexual harassment, sexual assault, and sex-based discrimination in our educational programs and activities. This applies to all of us, students as well as employees. Additionally, we have included the name of our Title IX coordinator. This, again, is required by law, as well as the list of the coordinator's responsibilities and duties. On red page 3, we're proposing to include language, again, that's aligned with federal requirements to disseminate this policy each year to school employees, students, and parents and guardians. Again, that's on red page 3 of the document. And we're also including language to require that a notice of non-discrimination be published at all of our schools. And if you scroll down to red page 5 of the document, you will find that the contact information for reporting violations to the U.S. Department of Education is also provided, and a link is provided as well.
Any questions?
How will this information be disseminated to the district employees?
So the policy, once it's approved by the board, we will, as normal, post it online. We will send out the links and the information to the senior leaders and the superintendent, and then from that level, it will be disseminated down to the principals. And the information will also be included in the Monday memo.
What changed from the old policy to the new policy that's state law?
That's based on state law?
Yeah, yeah.
So the language that's on red page 1 that says that we will not discriminate on any basis, that's state law. Everything else that you see that's in red and strike through is based on federal requirements.
I have another question. Do we still have the whistleblowers hotline?
We do. Yes, ma'am.
And that is being spearheaded by what department?
I will have to defer. Internal audit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How many students are you currently serving in this program?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
How many students do you currently service
How many students do we service?
in this program? The special needs students, how many students are coming under this category as we speak?
So this is a non-discrimination
I get that.
statement, and that should be for all of our students, all of our employees.
You said something about parents having access to making complaints or whatever, they're somewhere in here. So what?
How many complaints have we received?
Oh, no. How many students are we serving in this capacity, doing these things, and how many are we not serving? Who would be there if we know that?
Superintendent?
Yes, Board Member Williams, to answer your question, all of the students fall under the non-discriminatory federal policy. In regards to our students with disabilities, we have approximately 17,000, approximately 17,000 students with disabilities.
And those students with those disabilities come with money, right? I mean, there's a fund that
IDEA, yes, sir.
that takes, how much is that?
Is it still approximately 90? $34 million.
Do we have employees in those areas that service students, and is it staffed to that degree today? The current students that we have who have these needs, are they being serviced by the district, and by how many employees?
Board Member Williams, we do have teachers in our classes. However, we do have vacancies as well. But we do cover our special ed classrooms.
I guess my question is, how much of it is outsourced?
We don't outsource our SPED teachers. We do outsource, or we have contracts for OT, PT, speech, and those are the contracts that we brought back, I think, earlier in the summer to get started for the year. So we do have OT, PT, speech. Am I missing one, Dr. Luckett? Oh, and sign language interpreters.
Is there a difference, a huge difference, in the disparity of the salary between those who work for the district and those who are outsourced, who do the same work?
Let me get you that information, Board Member Williams, because I want to be exact on how much we pay the contractors compared to how much we pay people inside the district.
Thank you. The reason I ask is because I've gotten several complaints from people who work for the district who make substantially, they say, less than those who are from outside sources who do the same work or similar work with these students who are funded by this grant I'm supposing. I just wanted to make sure that everything is level and fair.
So if I may, I think we had a conversation about this when we had those contracts that came before us, Board Member Williams, and we did ask them to try to look at that, and that's about a sustainability issue. I know that we talked about how if we bring them on as permanent employees as opposed to contracts. So I believe they are working on that, correct, Dr. Richmond? Okay, thanks. Does that answer your question?
Some of it,
Some
yes.
of it? Okay. They'll get back to us. Okay. Any more questions? Oh, here we go.
Is the Lexia included in this policy? Is the Lexia included in this policy?
So the policy that we're looking at is just discrimination. And that, I think
Title
you may
IX.
be on the next policy. We're on policy number 1009.
I'm skipping ahead.
Okay, so if there are no additional questions on that particular policy, we can move to policy number 5002 on red page 3. and it's Program for Students with Disabilities under IDEA. If you look at this particular draft, the definition of child with disabilities now aligns with applicable state and federal law. The Individuals with Disability Education Act, or IDEA, also has what's called a least restrictive environment principle, and that means that students with disabilities should be taught with their non-disabled peers as much as possible, and we've included language around what's called, again, the least restrictive environment, or LRE, on page 7 to align with the IDEA. Any questions?
Now my question, is dyslexia included in this policy?
I will defer to the superintendent or Dr. Whitelaw.
Thank you, great question. I just leaned over to make sure that I talked to the executive director, so make sure we're on the same page. Yes, if a child has been identified based on IDEA with a disability of dyslexia, then they are covered.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Keep going.
Okay.
Any more?
Next.
Well, let me first. Any more questions on this particular policy? All right.
Okay,
Thank
the
you, Ms.
next
Stewart.
item is policy number 5019, Early Transition to College Program, and that's on red page 10 of your document. We're requesting that you repeal this particular policy because it's no longer an offered program by the state. The next item is 6019, Student Rights and Due Process, and that begins on red page 13. We're also requesting to repeal this policy. The language is actually duplicated in two of our other policies, and that's policy number 6026, Appeals Related to Student Discipline, as well as policy number 6022, our Student Conduct Policy.
Any questions? All right. Oh, I think you have one.
How will this be communicated to the parents? The reason I ask because it's because we didn't have a student handbook last year.
Superintendent.
We will have a student handbook this year. I think we sent it out. We've already sent it out electronically, and Dr. Malone and Mr. Smith, I think, have gotten with printing, and we're printing. Am I correct, Mr. Smith? Quotes. So to answer your question, I've asked the team, first of all, we've sent an electronic version to all of the schools. We're also looking at ways that parents can access it via a hyperlink, but we also want to provide hard copies in our schools. So we will have communicated several ways. Well, we can look at also some type of app or again, a link that we can share and parents can access it on their phone, but we also would like for each student to have a hard copy as well.
Thank you. I forgot my daughter graduated last year. That's why I haven't seen it in my email.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay. My last item is policy number 6043, Healthcare Management, beginning on red page 14. Proposed revisions, again, align with applicable state or federal laws or other state or federal guidance. And just to briefly mention some key points, any healthcare procedure that a student cannot perform on their own must be done by a licensed healthcare professional. That aligns again with the state. The healthcare professional can only perform a procedure in a school if they have have both a physician's order and a written parental authorization that aligns with the state. The written parental authorization must be kept in the student's school records. For any health services provided by the district, informed written consent from a parent is required. However, in an emergency or for minor injuries, the law now allows district staff to provide initial first aid to the student. That aligns with new state law. We've also aligned our definitions with state law. Moving down to red page 18, we are aligning training requirements for concussions with applicable state guidance. On red page 19, if a student has an accident that results in a significant injury, such as like a broken limb or some type of severe head trauma, then those particular incidents have to be reported to the superintendent or the superintendent's designee. And I believe in this case, it would be reported to the superintendent and risk management. The remainder of the draft simply again aligns with applicable state law or other guidance for individual health care plans, administration or assistance with administration of medications, as well as students with diabetes, pancreatic insufficiency, and adrenal insufficiency. Any questions?
Go ahead.
The questions on the first revision requires healthcare procedures that a student cannot perform themselves to be carried out by a licensed healthcare professional. What is the, do we have, what's the process if a school does not have a licensed medical professional on staff full-time and we have somebody who has chronic medical needs? What is the, how are we remedying that? What is the penalty for violating a policy like that? How are we safeguarding that students have this? Whoever, maybe.
I think that's probably a question for Dr. Richmond.
Dr. Richmond, can I ask Board Member Amber, can you repeat your exact question? I was listening, so I want to just make sure.
So it requires healthcare procedures that a student cannot perform themselves to be carried out by a licensed healthcare professional. What do we do in school situations where there is not a licensed healthcare professional to assist a student?
So definitely we have our nurses on staff, but also we provide training to a group of people each year around first aid, around CPR. So those individuals are trained at the site.
So does that meet the definition of licensed? I read licensed as like a nurse practitioner or you know, or some like a formal medical training versus a certificate of. What if somebody is, they can't administer insulin?
If I can interject,
Yes.
I'm thinking this is more specific to maybe a child with a trach or some type of medical condition, not an injury that, you know,
Correct.
you
That's
can
what
clean up, but for
I understand
a real
that to be the
medical.
case too.
So thank you. So if it is a medical condition and it is listed in the child's IEP, we provide nursing services. So if a student has a trach, if a student has a feeding tube, if students have to receive any type of medical procedure, we actually have nurses who are assigned to those students.
So we feel confident that we have licensed medical professionals for students that fitting that description.
We are confident that we have provided, based on IEPs, based on what students need, we have definitely tried to make sure that our nurses are trained and on deck.
Okay, thank you.
And most of our nurses to that impact would be at Shrine, and then we do have students throughout the district.
And I think too, Board Member Garcia, if I'm looking at this right, the district retains the discretion to reject a request for administration of medicine. So if it becomes something that we can't handle, then that's something that I think the district would make sure clear of.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Are there any other questions around this particular one? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you done?
I'm done.
What? Nope, one more.
One more. Okay.
So, well, maybe, I don't know if we need you up here for this, but if you all recall at our last board meeting, I did ask that we look at school board meetings again since we were on the first reading for that, to look at it again during board committees. And so I wanted to bring to our attention Do we have any of those? Do we have, is it attached here or is
It's
it?
not.
It's not. So I happen to have the old one. Let me try to explain the best that I can. The law changed, what, last year? To reflect that we have 48 hours, we have to post.
I think it was in 2023 or 24.
Right, we have to post within 48 hours. So in our board meetings policy, we have a process for posting for our board work session documents, and we have a process for posting for our board meeting documents. Currently, we put in there that they shall be posted 5 days in advance of the meeting. And I think historically, the reason why we did that is to ensure that, one, when we give us as board members enough time to review the documents, and two, that when we get anything we're going to take action on, that we are also posting it for the public to see as well, so that we can get any input, feedback, or otherwise. I wanted to ask the board to consider thinking about keeping what we have and merely putting in a asterisk that the law requires at a minimum of 48 hours, understanding that at some point in time, there may be situations where we won't get things up for whatever reason. But I think we have historically done a really good job of keeping people informed about what we're doing by doing that 5 days in advance. So I wanted to bring this back to the board, and otherwise, we will be posting 2 days in advance, is that right, before the meeting? So that would be
48 hours.
48 hours, so that'd be
48
Sunday?
hours.
That would be Sunday, that we'd be posting our board agendas with documents. So anyone, please.
It's currently, I think 5 days before, I'm sorry. I think 5 days before a work session is appropriate, because those are the, the core documents we're going to be discussing. Are we concerned 5 days in advance of a business meeting that we would be able to have revised documents based on that discussion for a vote, when those are often only a week apart? I guess for the whole board. I mean, I do agree with the spirit, though, and I like the idea that we state the minimum with as much time for the public to be informed and for board members to be informed as well. But I think, are we concerned about?
We don't post on Sundays. We normally post our agenda on Thursday.
Right, but with the current law, it would say that we have to have them, we can't have it we have to have it by 48 hours in advance, which would be a Sunday for us.
We cool with either Thursday or Friday. We don't ask them to post an agenda. So.
No, I understand that. That's what the policy says now.
Well, it says at least 48, so they could still post on a Friday and still be within that time frame for the 48
We normally
hours.
do it Thursday afternoon. If something happens and we're late, we do it before 12 on Friday.
Okay. And so my question to us is that currently in the policy, it says we shall have it 5 days in advance. And I'm asking, do we want to keep it that way? All right. So I think what I'm hearing is we want to keep it. May I make a suggestion and put it on the table? That we keep it the way it is, but we notate that we do have the law allows us to do it within 48 hours. We have it. That's a minimum, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, all right. Do I hear any objection to that? Do we have any more discussion around that? Yeah, we're just dropping it in there to say that we recognize what the law says and we'll follow it. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So when we bring the school board meetings policy back before the board for second reading, it will have that revision.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, leave it on there. I do. Let's see. I think policy update was it. I think that is it. Anybody have anything else? Oh, I do have one other thing. Last board committee meeting too, we talked about business systems review, and I would like considering that we are getting ready to start on our governance training, and one of the requirements for the business systems review is that we have that governance training prior to. I'd like to, and we have to have a calendar of the systems that we're going to review for the next year done by December. I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I have asked, I've asked Ms. Stewart if you would send everybody that particular policy so that we're clear on how we're going to move forward. And again, I wanted to make sure, because part of that process is that we have that training, then we get together and we talk about what systems we're going to review, we calendar it, and then there's some very specific requirements for the superintendent in that. Yes, ma'am.
Today, in audit, budget, and finance, we will be presenting the budget calendar, which has each system, business system review by focus area calendared. So for the board to review today.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Thank you for responding to that. Thanks.
And Commissioner McKinney, there are copies in front of you for the board.
Oh, where? I'm sorry. We got so many pieces of paper. Look at your papers all in front of you, and
I
you will
think they're
find.
just in front of you.
Oh, just in front of me?
If not, we will email.
Yeah, I don't have it. Well, to soothe my fellow board members' souls, you will not get another piece of paper. They'll send it to you in an email. All right. All right, so without further ado, if there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
We'll move right on. Audit, Budget, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Chair. We'll call to order the Audit, Budget, Finance Committee meeting. I do have one item to remove in our discussion items. I'm going to take item 2.01, Literacy Mid-South, off. We are going to be talking about the Strategic Partners and Literacy Plan, which will include generally tutoring. So we're going to include that as part of the discussion. So I'm going to remove that item. Are there any additions or add-ons from my colleagues? Okay. We do have a FY26 budget amendment that Chief Langston will present, and then the budget timeline. So just mentioned, our policy does have special requirements around this committee and the number of times that we meet. We are exceeding the minimum number, but we've also calendared out community meetings. So our members of the public do not get saved the dates 2 weeks before we hold a meeting, but we want your feedback, and we want to make sure that these dates work for you too. But this district priorities are connected to our budget amendment, or is this a separate item, Chief Langston?
So this presentation today is a more robust conversation of where we are financially that leads into the budget amendment and also then leads into the budget calendar.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
I appreciate it. All right, board. So board members, you've asked for a robust discussion around the budget and getting it earlier, so we wanted to bring this today. So first, starting with district priorities. But board members, if you remember, our district priorities now have been set for last year, and there's a couple things, and we'll dive deeper when we look into the budget calendar. But I want to point us to the district priorities policy. We have to adopt district priorities by October. However, we're starting this process in August, and then when we talk about the budget calendar, you'll see we'll start much earlier. So I believe a retreat is set this month to talk about and align us to strategic priorities. Board members, if you adopt the strategic priorities, whether it be in August or September, it'll get us on schedule to start talking about business system review. So I wanted to give you a little homework, just like because you always give us homework. So this month in August, so I want to set the stage for August. August the 31st is when we close our books for prior years. So by TCA code, our books for the fiscal year 25 had to be closed by August 31st, and then we hand over what's called the trial balance to the auditors before they start. But before we close the books, we have an opportunity to do fund balance assignments. And I'll get into some numbers and talk about what we do fund balance assignment wise. But for the purposes of this amendment authorizes a net increase of $66,430,309 for the general fund, capital improvement fund, federal funds, and the like. First, I'll start with the general fund. The general fund is increasing by $72,714,462. Before you jump out of your seats, I'll go into more details of why it's $72 million. But primarily it's for planned use of fund balance, if you agree. It's for comprehensive coordinated early intervening services for CCEIS. One-time teacher bonuses, we're amending the budget for some tweaks to get us to a little over $72 million for the general fund. Then our capital improvement funds, you'll often see us truing up this fund. Just for context, the capital improvement fund, we essentially just align this fund to that of what the county commission gives us. So by the time we adopt our budget, and they still haven't adopted their budget, we don't know at that time, one, where we are in that spending for the capital improvement fund, and we don't know what they will give us. So we're estimating the budget at the time of adoption, and then you see us showing it up here. We're decreasing the capital improvement fund by $14,986,261 for, again, two reasons. One, the primary reason is that we've spent more funding than even we estimated, and we're truing up to what the county actually gave us for the capital improvement fund. Then I go to our non-federal special revenue fund. That's our Fund 8. We are increasing it by $8,702,108. There's two primary reasons. One, we get a state school improvement grant. It's kin to our priority school grants, but it's money that comes directly from the state to do some of our schools that's in a priority status. And then next, we're truing up to our public schools security grant. It's about close to $2 million. It's $1,997,014. We have until the end of October to spend the remaining of the public school security grant. So board members, one of the things that we include as a part of the budget amendment, I wanted to be transparent in case you never get back into the final processes of the budget amendment. But one of the things about policy we have to do is bring you any new positions that's added outside of the budget. So these are the positions that are being added to this amendment. The majority of it you'll see is for CCEIS. That's just a state mandate that we have to do. It's a separate part of funding that starts in the general fund, but eventually it'll go over to IDEA that we discussed earlier. We have a couple of executive assistants that we've added for our regional superintendents. We'll talk about SPL in a moment, but we have a split project, a manager funded position for SPL. And then the last two things you see, you'll remember, we got about $300,000 from the city of Memphis to do some homeless work. And what you see us doing is adding some part-time positions to be able to carry out their work. So that brings us to now, when we adopted the budget, we was right at $2 billion. So essentially that gets us to over $2 billion for this budget amendment. Again, I'll go in more detail in the next slides. I will tell you that right now this $2 billion, what it doesn't consider right now is removing the $25 million for Head Start. And the reason why it's $25 million is because it's a net. We got $4.9 million to transition Head Start from the months of July through the end of August 31st. $4.9 million. In totality, that grant was close to $30 million. So since we're still in the closing out the grant, you still see it reflected here. The next budget amendment you'll see is us removing that grant now that we know that we didn't get it, if that makes sense. I'll pause and take any questions related to this before I go into fund balance assignment.
You mentioned in the last meeting that we were adding some positions to sort of balance out reduce the impact of Head Start seats, and we had to add an assistant, and we were spending about $3.3 million. Is that reflected in this now, or will that also be in the next budget amendment?
Yes, ma'am. It's actually reflected down, but you'll see us net it down in the next budget amendment. So it came out to be roughly about $2.9 million. So again, what Board Member Garcia is asking is that we have 94 VPK state funded classrooms. What we've been doing in the past is blending Head Start with VPK. So what that means is that VPK has been funding the teacher positions for our VPK classrooms, and Head Start have been funding the ed assistant positions. So now we need 87 positions to continue our VPK grant. So the general fund is now taking on those ed assistant positions so we can continue to be compliant with running the VPK grant.
Thank you.
I have a question along the same lines as Amber, Commissioner Garcia. I want a list of the jobs you kept and eliminated.
Particularly for Head Start?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Because I've been hearing rumors that there was a job fair at the Bayer Building, and then it was canceled.
You said it was canceled?
Yeah.
Director Gordon would have to answer that. I'm pretty sure that it went on, though.
Good evening, Board Commissioners and Superintendent Richmond. No, ma'am, we had the job fair on Friday, and we had special ed, PLNS, nutritional services, so it was several departments that was there. And we're working with HR to direct place people in the special education assistance positions, the specialized educational assistants, and we've been working in direct placing teachers and teacher assistants across the vacancies within the schools.
Was there a place for pre-K employees only?
So working with Chief Langston and the finance team, we just got the finalized approved positions that we were keeping because we had to go through and see what was essential for us to maintain the department. Now that we have that list, we reconciled it on yesterday. We're now waiting for the PCNs. As soon as we receive those PCNs, we will then post. We were going to do an internal posting, which means that only the early childhood employees that will be impacted will be able to apply for those jobs, and hopefully we should get that done before the end of the week.
Next question. How many jobs are you looking to keep?
It's a total of around 54 positions that we were approved to keep. So what we did was looked at our general fund, our first aid, our VPK, and we looked at what do we need to maintain. And so we eliminated, and we kept just based upon program services. And we were trying to level set and still maintain all that we did under Head Start programmatically. And so the teachers and the parents shouldn't see a difference in what our program offerings will be.
Last question. Is behavior specialist on the list?
We kept the health service advisor position, which the behavior specialist and the health service advisor worked in tandem. I did send Chief Langston an email to negotiate for one of those positions.
I have a follow-up question. Why one of them?
Well, right now, like Chief Langston said, we have a deficit, so we were able to look at some of the positions that from the fiscal team that we did not need, and hopefully we'll be able to keep at least one, because we will have the education team, and then now with the district pushing in and allowing the K-12 team to support the academic coordinators, the behavior specialists that are in school will now service pre-K through 12, and just instead of leaving it to the early childhood department.
Thank you.
So, Board Member Love, if I can add a little more context to that as well. So, what we did with the Head Start employees first, I just got to say, and I said it on the call to the Head Start department, and I don't want to speak for Dr. Richmond, I think he's said it too. First of all, they put us in a bad spot to tell us so late to be able to inform these employees. But immediately when we knew, which I believe was either the 22nd of July or the 29th, Dr. Richmond sent us quickly into action into kind of supporting these employees. So I feel strongly that we did everything that we could to keep every employee that we can, to do the essential functions of being able to keep early childhood running. That's an option. We also were able to transfer some employees into vacant positions that we had, even some teaching positions that we had. And then the final thing is that if for any reason any employees could not stay on with the district, Port of Leaf is still running the same program that we're running. So they're doing job fairs as well. And we do have, again, until the end of August to kind of pay these employees and keep them on. And one of the things that I've talked to legal about, we'll be asking the Head Start office about, is that even extending it past August 31st, because to me, again, that's even a quick window when we were just notified July 22nd, 29th to be able to tell employees, because we got $4.9 million. Had we known that $4.9 million was for transition instead of an interim period, we would have been able to set a budget that is different. It's a difference when you talk about transition versus ending a grant. So I did want to put that on record.
Thank you. I have a question about the capital improvement fund. I know that it is decreasing by the 14.9 million because of we didn't get the anticipated dollars from the county. So what does that impact in terms of our capital improvements?
Great question. So for us, what that means is that we'll have to determine how we fund a lot of our life safety projects. What you'll see in a minute, I'll go through kind of a fund balance assignment recommendation that we have that'll kind of talk about some of those items. We did get about $5 million, a little over $5 million from the county. And what we have done with those $5 million is look at some of those life safety events. I will say, Michelle and I, Ms. Stewart and I have been working closely to determine whether or not we wanted to do fund balance around a lot of the projects we have. And what I alluded to Dr. Richmond is that right now we have about 50 to 60 projects that we have working at the moment. That's kind of robust when you think about ESSER, as well as some of the general fund projects that we're rolling over. So we're in a good spot as we lead into tomorrow's conversation around facilities and what it looks like moving forward as a district and how we use funding to support facilities.
Thank you. Well, one other question. Are we going to do those life safety things? Are we going to figure out how to do those?
Board Member McKinney, thank you for your question, but I will say, I think tomorrow for the facilities ad hoc committee meeting, as we move forward with facilities, I think that's important. But I had a meeting today where with some business partners, and we'll be looking at some other things where we're looking at asking our business community as well as other businesses to help us with somewhat of a capital improvement campaign. So we are, the team and I are working with some people to do that. So as we move forward with the facilities ad hoc committee, as we move forward with right sizing our district, I think we have some things working toward some of these things that we know will be reoccurring, but that we need to be more strategic in addressing, particularly if we're going to right size our district or repurpose some buildings and or take some buildings off of our books. So we need to be looking at all of these things comprehensively, but I appreciate the question.
Yeah, I appreciate that you are thinking innovatively about how we can strategize and capitalize on some of our business partners. So a private-public partnership in terms of our buildings as we continue to push on our county commission to do what they're supposed to do in terms of our buildings and getting our students into 21st century buildings. Thank you.
I have a quick question. The budget amendment positions, have you gotten all these positions filled, and are any of these from the pre-K department?
No, ma'am. We're bringing them for your approval. Most of those are for grant funded positions. With your approval, then we'll start posting most of these positions and begin to fill them. So one of the things we did with our pre-K team, the first thing I did was ask our HR team to match the credentials of every pre-K employee that we have in the district to see what they were either licensed with, their resumes, their credentials, to be able to see first any vacant positions that we have in the district that aligns to their certification, resume, so on and so forth. The first thing we wanted to do, again, what I alluded to, is looking at the larger buckets. First, we look at the ed assistants, we looked at the child care educators to be able to give them first right of refusal. That's the very first thing we did, even before we had a job fair. The job fair was just for any lingering employees who may not have a true match to what we had open, to allow them some opportunities. Again, the last option that we gave them is that Port Elite had a job fair. So again, I feel real strong that we explored every option that we could with our pre-K employees to be able to give them options around staying with the district.
I have two questions to ask of you, Tito. Are the teachers, can they still expect to get this money July 1, whatever they were getting from the state?
You're talking about the teacher bonus?
Yes.
They've already received it.
They have received it?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Very good. How many vacancies do we have in the district as we speak? You may not know.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that.
The final thing then, when we get money from the city and from the county, and it comes whenever they send it, and we don't have really a chance to use it, we then have to find other ways to use that money to pay those things when we don't get reimbursed from them. We have to go back and redo our own budget. For example, when the city of Memphis gave us the $1 million, it came so late, the program was over. So that now you have to use it in a way. How do you manage all of that?
So we're on a perfect slide. So this slide kind of outlines kind of where our funding comes in for. So as a district, we run, I don't think a lot of people understand the heavy operations that we run as a district. This $2 billion is gone quickly, and one of the things I like to outline is that we have what's called fixed and mandated costs. As you can see, the majority of our $2 billion goes straight to the classroom for instruction. So when we do the budget, the first thing we want to consider is paying for the things that we know we absolutely have to pay for, no matter where the funding comes from. So then we go back and look at the things that is then good to have that can support student achievement. So we don't necessarily align any funding source to exactly anything in particular unless a grant said that we needed to do so. We take the full bucket of money and then determine what the district needs are and do it as such.
Can you speak to, or anyone, what are the number of vacancies we have as we speak in classrooms?
So this is estimated, Board Member Williams. From the last I saw, it was around 275, 260. But again, I always want to give the caveat. Let me give you this caveat. I know we've been talking about it for a while. As a district, we have roughly about 260, 270 vacant positions. The easy, and I was explaining this to somebody today, I'll give you easy math. I have a first grader. In her class, she has 20 students in her class because as a district, we've said that the staffing ratio for a first grader is 20 students. However, the state only pays us for 25 students, so we can, for lack of better words, cram 25 first graders in a class, but it wouldn't be as effective of a teaching model because you'll have one teacher and assistant to 25 students. If we went to the states, 25 teacher ratio, and just, I'm only sticking with first grade, we we wouldn't have any vacancies. So I always want to give that context and caveat to one of the main reasons why we have vacancies is because we have a richer staffing formula than that of the state. We pay in upwards of over $350 million more than the state gives us for their staffing formula. I just want to give it context.
So what happens when we start school next week or the week after next, and the classrooms are not filled? What do we do?
Great question, Mr. Whitman. So there's a couple of things that happen. So one, we're trying to give a live body to every student. The first thing that's not considered in the vacancies that we don't count is we have a robust sub list. We have upwards of 1,000 people who can sub. Roughly 450 of those are certified subs who are teachers who have retired and come back and serve as long-term subs for us. So we don't count those numbers in our vacancies, but we do have sub coverage as well to do vacancies. And then on top of that, what we ask of all of our principals and our educators that's in the school is to begin to combine classes when needed. So I think, where's Desmond at? The news may be here. I want to talk about how we don't just allow 275 vacancies to stop us. We are, those regional superintendents over there, they work hard with the instructional leadership coaches and the principals to ensure that every student has a educator in the classroom. So while we have roughly 275 vacancies, we do have a plan to support those students in the classroom.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, you can go. I want to.
Yeah, the first question is, public school security grant. What are we going to do with the extra money?
So
I don't need to know it now, but I do need to know it when I vote. Yeah.
But I can tell you now, if you want to know.
Quickly.
So essentially, we're doing a number of things, but the primary thing is that we're showing up our safety. So using that grant, what we're doing is buying a lot of security cameras. So remember, we're outfitting we're talking about the real-time safety center. We're outfitting our schools to have updated cameras so they can glean into the real-time safety center.
What are you doing for the kids?
So directly for the kids, well, over the last couple months, you've seen us bring contracts related to how we support kids, whether it's for the liaisons for probation, where we have done, last month we just did gang intervention and things of that nature. We're still doing those things and the like, but this public safety money is one-time, non-recurring money, so we're looking at doing a lot of upgrades, so it's not a recurring cost.
The next question is, I'm going to ask the superintendent to go back and talk to Tito and Davlin. We need behavior specialists. Those COVID babies, they're bad.
So,
I apologize.
No, Ms. Love, you asked.
They're in a class of their own. I have two of them.
I got one myself, Ms. Love, and you're not wrong. Yeah. But what Ms. Gordon was alluding to, though, as a district, what we've done is vetted behavior specialists. Yeah. So in our model now, we have 40 behavior specialists as well as. So as we look at Head Start going away, those behavior specialists that's now going to be regionalized, they're going to have to, when they're in schools now, which is where these babies are placed, they're going to go in and support not K-12 now, they're going to go in and support pre-K through 12 now that we don't have Head Start. So we have behavior specialists as well as on this slide too, what we've done with a lot of those behavior specialists that you asked a couple months ago, what happened to them after they weren't vetted, we put them in behavior technician roles, which is similar to behavior specialists, because now they're going to be trained to be behavior specialists, but they're going to support in the classrooms as well. So we're looking at a pre-K through 12 model instead of a K through 12 model. So we're still trying to support babies.
Board Member Murphy, did you have a question? Board Member Love, were you finished?
No, I'm getting ready to ask my question. Tito, we have too many vacancies. I asked in the spring about ensuring that all classrooms were filled. Remember that we was talking about proximity. So I wanted to know, what is the average time to fill the vacancies?
Great question. So that's a great question, but and I would probably like to I'm kind of a nerd, Ms. Murphy. I would like to map it. And the reason why I say that is because it just depends. So a part of, I think HR gets a lot of flack, and you guys may hear about it, but a part of onboarding a candidate is they got to have everything they need to be able to onboard them. Then there's things like sometimes we have to do background check on employees. We have to double check background check. So I'll give you a scenario when you've been, Ms. Murphy, you're a model employee that's about to be onboarded. You got everything you need, your transcripts, you got you've done your background check, your TB scan test, a week maximum, and you could be onboarded. But it rarely happens like that because we're waiting on documentation from employees as well, because they have to have everything before they can report to a location, including background, TB scan test, transcripts to verify their certifications and things of that nature.
Now, my follow-up question, because we voted on proximity, I think in May or June, somewhere around that line, do we have the funds to add extra time to proximity? Because I know that if we have proximity, every classroom will be filled.
So the way I understand proximity is it's a timing thing, right? So really it's not the number of teachers, right? So I wouldn't say even if we increase proximity that we still wouldn't have vacancies. Remember, it's about core subjects that proximity has to have the certified people to do so as well. And it's not a true teacher to vacancy model. They're covering sections, particularly for EOC courses and things of that nature. So while I say we have roughly about 275 teacher vacancies, and a lot of them is elementary, a lot of it is elementary and SPED, and proximity can't do elementary. Well, let me say we wouldn't want them to do elementary and SPED. Mm-hmm. So even if we increase proximity, we wouldn't fill our void for 275 vacancies, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. So what is our plan to leverage the virtual, for the virtual certified teachers?
So again, as I alluded to, we're doing everything. And again, one of the things that might be beneficial is that maybe in work session or business meeting, we bring you all a full complement of how we're covering those vacancies. Because again, as I alluded to, what's not considered is when we give you a vacancy number, it's not discussing the sub coverage. So again, we have about 1,000 subs, which over half of them are certified that's covering classes, and they can cover classes up to 120 days because these are retired teachers. And those people are certified, so if we take those off, really our vacancy number will come down as well. One of the things we do, even with proximity, is we keep those vacancies open because again, if we want a live body. If we can fill that role, we're going to take proximity out the class and close that vacancy. So again, while I say 275, a truer number we can bring you in is how we cover those classes.
Let me also add, Board Member Murphy, I think we're still about 2 weeks out from really knowing where we stand with staffing. After the first 20 days, we'll do what's called 20-day staff adjustment. When we do 20-day staff adjustment, Mr. Langston he could be 20 teachers short, 20 students short, and Dr. Whitelaw could be 20 students over. We're going to adjust a staff to Dr. Whitelaw's school. So even though you may see that there's a vacancy of 275 students, when we start to really shore things up in level classes, balance classes, staff adjust, we could possibly have an overage of teachers, because all things being equal, it's not a one-to-one match. So again, before we start to talk about adding proximity sections, I think we still need to look at enrollment, look at staff adjustment. There are still a lot of things that need to be considered before we start to talk about adding additional teachers, either to proximity or feeling as though we have not hit the mark. We have about 70 recommendations that we're still vetting. And that's not even including other additional people who could be applying for jobs as we speak. So given a few more weeks, we'll have a better perspective of where we are with staffing as well as enrollment.
Thank you, Dr. Richmond. Thank you, Chief Langston. I just want to make sure we had clarity on that so we won't have any discrepancies. So thank you so much.
So I just want to make sure clarity for all of us and any listening public. Vacancies mean that we have these positions out there. Vacancies does not mean that we don't have 275 teachers in 275 classes. So can you assure the listening public and everyone in this room that every classroom is covered by a teacher?
Yes, yes, yes. Again, you have a projected enrollment. Based on that projected enrollment, we budget for staffing. As of now, we have approximately 275 budgeted positions that there's not an official staff person in, but again, as Mr. Langston explained, we have 1,000 substitute teachers, but also on top of having 1,000 substitute teachers, we also have where schools can really collapse classes. You could collapse a class because I may only have 10 in a class where I may not have a teacher, so those students that are in this, there are a lot of things that go into staffing a school that are not, again, just looking at a one-to-one ratio in regards to the vacancies that we may have.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So what you're saying is some of the classes that have 10, another class may have 5, so we'll merge those classes just so they can have a live teacher. Thank you.
I had one comment. I discussed this with Chief Langston and Ms. Parker. You're here with our charter schools office. I just want to, as we have a facilities committee, ad hoc committee meeting tomorrow, we have a $264 million going out the door for charter schools every year. We are going to have to make adjustments to our footprint. I think it would be helpful for us to see the renewals of the 10-year renewal, enrollment, academic achievement over our footprint plan, so we know what decisions we'll be making as we make decisions around our district buildings. I know we did this a couple of years ago, but just seeing that renewal timeline, I know we have an academic achievement sort of, what's the comparable? Yes, so seeing that over whatever sort of heat map we create on our facilities will help us make more informed decisions about, who continues, who should scale, who should we invest in and look at as a model, as a true portfolio district, but also just the conditions of our buildings and knowing that if we do have a vacant building that they will get first right of refusal. I think we need to have all of that information, and we're not going to do this entire plan in 1 year. We're going to do it probably over 10 to 20 years. So I think having that information alongside of it will be really helpful. If that's something we could have next month if we could work with our facilities team to have that, all the information at once. So thank you.
I'd like to piggyback on that, Board Member Garcia. One of the things that the policy contemplates is just that we begin to think about how we partner and leverage the good programs that we have, the many good programs that we have in charter schools, and asking them to sort of fill some gaps as we think about the feeder patterns and the academic programming that we're doing in the regions. So just thinking creatively about that and innovatively in how we partner. The other question I have, and I think I asked this last year, is, and I have a lot of community people asking me that, they see these big numbers, but they don't know what's inside of those big numbers. So for instance, instructional support, are those all teachers? Are those teacher types? What does that mean? Where does central office lie in this? And so folks want to know where the money, because I also want to be clear about central office, because there's a lot of things that people are saying about central office and how heavy it is, and frankly, I don't know. I don't think any of us know, but I think that would be a good exercise for us to let folks know and break it down, almost itemization to that, and make it easy for them to see.
Yes, ma'am, and I took that feedback. I think now that I think I know, I started it in the last Budget 101 session that we did at Whitehaven. But when we get to the next, when we talk about this calendar that you have, I'll give a little more detail about how we'll look at that as well. But I always take your feedback.
I got one more question. And this for Michelle. I think Michelle can do this one. I would like a list of all of my vacant buildings that's in my district. What you wanting for? Yeah, my school buildings. My school buildings.
Are there any
Where-
additional questions on this item? Otherwise, we'll move to the.
I don't think I have any more questions.
Fund balance assignment, which I think is connected to what we've just went in great detail about.
Yes, ma'am. So this is fund balance. So board members, as I alluded to before, on August the 31st, we'll close our books, and what we'll hand over to our external auditors is a trial balance. And in that trial balance, one of the things we'll have is fund balance assignments. Some of them we have to do by policy. The others, you'll see a recommendation of what we're recommending for fund balance assignments as one-time approvals. So I wanted to start with the fund balance policy. So by policy, board members, you'll see that we have to have an unassigned general fund balance of approximately 8 to 15%. Currently where we stand is about roughly 23, 24%, but I'm going to go to some numbers and tell you where we'll be if we do some things by policy and then based on some of the recommendations that we have. So I want to start with, when we talk about fund balance, I mostly stick with what's called unassigned fund balance. Unassigned fund balance is where we have wiggle room, and I like to, in layman's term, refer to it as our savings, if you will. The budget, I refer to as our checking account, and this is kind of our savings account. The analogy that I often like to use is that you never want to use your savings account to pay for your mortgage. You want it to use your checking account, because if you have to use your savings account for your mortgage, then you're probably in a little trouble. So we really want to think about one-time things for our savings when we think about our fund balance. So our unassigned fund balance before we started FY25 was $282 million. Our revenues, again, we're speaking in 2 years, but I'm mostly referring to FY25 because remember, as I said, we still have to close out FY25. We brought in revenues for the general fund of a little over $1.3 billion in just the general fund. Our expenditures was 1.302 in our expenditures, which means that at that time, we roughly had about $3 million in savings, if you will, from our expenditures to our revenues. Then we did what's called some AP accruals. What that means essentially is that we took, at the end of the year, what happens is that invoices come in that are dated 6/30 and prior that we have to book back to last year before we close the books. When we did those accruals, then that took us over our revenues of that put us in a hole of about $2.3 million. And when I say a hole, I'll explain in a minute what that means. So really what we did was we took all of our expenditures, netted against our revenues. So expenditures is money going out, revenues is money coming in, and we were short about $2 million. However, when you go down to it, we pulled over $50 million out of our fund balance. And now you'll see at the end of the year, we actually added $20,922,110 back to our fund balance. So essentially, we didn't use as much fund balance or savings as we needed to. We used those as expenditures, which means they're really in a really good spot. So then it brought us to our unassigned fund balance of a little over $300 million, which again is around 23, 24%. So that gets us down to what our recommended fund balance assignment is. I'm going to start at carry forward POs, which is the largest number. By policy, anything that is $5,000 or greater and has a contract related to it that crosses fiscal years, we have to carry them forward by policies. Majority of that $28 million in board members, you should have in your packet that breaks down all of these in details. But the majority of that $20 million is that you remember in FY25 to board member McKinney's question, we pulled a lot of fund balance out to do a lot of our construction projects. This is carrying forward a lot of those projects because they had contracts on them, and we'll continue to finish those projects in this year, which is why I made the comment that a lot of what we're not going to do this year is have to take out a lot of fund balance because we're carrying over and we're maximizing the team to be able to carry forward and execute these projects. The next largest one is you'll see a textbook, science textbook adoption. That number is $16 million. It's a one-time fee for science textbook adoption that we're going to pay for our fund balance. The $2.4 million that you see is what's called a warehouse fee. So our warehouse, which is a self-sustaining fund, the way it get revenue is it services schools. So our warehouse delivers the textbooks, and per policy, we charge a 15% markup to be able to do the warehouse. That's what that $2.4 million is. That $329,000, as you know, we have about $1,125,000 for board member allocations. This $329,000 is unspent allocations that will roll forward, and board members who had additional roll forwards will add it to your account on top of the funding that you get for every year. You probably spent all yours. School closure, opening and repurposing, it's about $1.8 million that we have. And this is what we affectionately call SCORP. And our SCORP projects, what we want to do is set aside funding to be able to bring schools online. So as we have a facilities conversation and we make recommendations for consolidations or anything like that, we want to set aside some funds to be able to support those schools moving and consolidating and or closing. Then the last one you'll see here is student devices. So board members, we have roughly about 25,000 high school students. Last year, we bought 10,000 devices for those high school students. I'll take us back to COVID when we bought devices for high school students. They were the first wave. All of those devices, with the exception of those 10,000 that we bought that was new, are out of warranty now. So that means that we have roughly 15,000 students with out of warranty devices. So if we want to bring those students online with new devices, we'll need to buy about $12 million or 15,000 devices so that all of our students, particularly our high school students, have new devices now since they are 4 years out of date. Elementary students, we bought new devices for them a couple years ago. We still have about a 2-year cycle for elementary students. Also 2 years ago, we took advantage of some federal grants to buy middle school devices. We're still in good shape with those, but I did want to be transparent that with our high school students, we do have roughly about 15,000 of them with out of warranty devices, and to bring them online, to give them a true one-to-one model, it'll take us about $12 million. Did that answer your question? One-to-one, yes ma'am, one-to-one model, yes ma'am. So board members, if you accept this recommendation, that means that when I alluded to us increasing the general fund by $72 million, 65 of it is geared towards this $65 million fund balance assignment. So what that means is that we'll go from $301 million in our unassigned fund balance to $236 million, and that will roughly put us at a little over 18%. And if you remember, by policy, we're supposed to be between 8 and 15%. We'll still be 3% over our policy. So I'll pause and take any questions around the fund balance assignment.
Total budget is $2 billion.
Yes, ma'am. But remember, this is only for general fund. The policy only relates to the general fund as your unassigned balance. So we don't look at any other funds other than the general fund.
So then you're not looking at the $2 billion.
No, ma'am. We're looking at about 1.3 billion.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure of what we were calculating. Okay,
yes, ma'am.
Great. Well, you were going to be in good. My math, you were going to be in good shape anyway. Thank you. This is excellent. Thank you.
All right. This next one is budget timeline. So board members, we'll blow it up, but you'll have it affectionately here. So board members, what we talked about here is that we wanted to bring a robust budget calendar that's normally due in October, but we wanted to be a straight A students and bring it 2 months in advance. So board members, what you have before you is a robust calendar that gets us to an approved budget. In all seriousness, we wanted to start the budget process earlier to be able to bring board members along earlier, bring community members along earlier, and also have, so I'll hit some highlights here. So first of all, we'll go through, as we always do, we'll go through with a central office departmental budget kickoff with our senior leaders. We have quite a few new senior leaders, so I'm looking forward to hazing them in the budget process. You'll also see we have 4 budget 101 sessions. So Board Member McKinney, one of the things we'll highlight is we'll break down line item details as you alluded to. And one of the things I think I want to do with the second budget session is have a robust conversation with how we handle our grant funds, because I don't think, in full transparency, I've done a good enough job in explaining how we get grants into the district and how we use them to support student achievement. So probably in Budget 101 Session 2, I have a robust discussion to talk about how we use grants for professional development, student support, Title I, so on and so forth. And then we'll have 2 other budget sessions. And then you'll see, as Dr. Richmond alluded to, we have fall budget checkout. Fall budget checkout is where we do staff adjustments and looking at enrollment based on what was projected and now what the actual enrollment is for students to begin to shift staffing based on what's formula. Then we'll have a lot of internal meetings. This is where I haze my fellow colleagues. I'm looking forward to it, to be able to determine how we set the budgets for our internal departments. If you can keep going down, then I put here for September, board members, this is where we'll need your help to be able to set strategic priorities. And as Board Member McKinney alluded to, doing governance training before we eventually get to what you'll see for our business system reviews. So Board Member McKinney, my recommendation is that with this year, that we go through and do a business system review for every system that we have to get us back on target, and then starting the following year, we can do the cadence. But to get us in line and to be compliant, we'll go through every business system review, and I'm happy to be the first person to go and take the mantle and go first.
I want to say thank you for being extremely responsive to us around being more transparent about our budget and the process and how we're doing this. Dr. Richmond, at one point in time, is that where we will, and I see you've broken it down into the different, departments, so that's where they will explain their budgets very clearly, what it is now and what they're expecting to ask for. Perfect, thank you.
I have a question. Since we divided into regions, you're going to do the budget presentation in regions instead of school districts?
We can do whatever the board's will is. We don't have to do them regionally. We can continue to do them by board member district the way we have in the past, even though we'll be in regions. I'll leave that up to the board.
A couple other highlights, Rashawn, if you can go down a little bit. A couple other highlights I want to point out here is that I think we've been doing roughly 1, sometimes 2 board retreats. As you can see, we'll do at least 2 to 3 board retreats, so we'll be familiarizing ourselves a lot with each other. And then one of the other things we're going to do is engage the public earlier as well. So the public will have an invested interest in the budget and be able to provide us as well as the board feedback around what the public wants to see in the budget. And then you also see where we're bringing in students as well. So to be responsive to what we heard from students last month, bringing them along the budget process and being able to make decisions as well.
I have another question. What percentage of surveys do you get back?
It's a really good question, Board Member Love. So I would say roughly it's probably about in the neighborhood of maybe 20%. But that's why we do surveys. We have public meetings as well to give everybody an opportunity to have input. So I'm hopeful this year, if we start earlier, we'll get more input from public surveys. So what we do usually is we do community, we do parents as well as students. So I'm hopeful that the earlier we start, we can increase that number this year.
Thank you.
As we look at our stakeholders, how are we incorporating our school leaders and our teachers into this process?
That's a really good question. Again, school leaders are involved, particularly around budget checkout. But to your point, they probably should be. So let me take a step back. Our teachers are normally, we meet with the associations as kind of a teacher voice. One of the things I'm recommending this year, I want to put Dr. Richmond on the spot, is that we go back to what's called a district teacher advisory committee. So outside of the associations, we get teachers from each of the schools to be in a forum where they can ask us and they can bring things even if they're not a part of an association. So that's one of the things that we talked about in collaborative conferencing. And to be honest with you, I got a text from my comrades and from the associations to hold my foot to the fire on that.
So the reason why I'm asking that question, because we're involving students and parents and community folks in this process, and yet teachers are on the ground and school leaders, and they actually know what their issues are in budget areas and could be creative and helpful in us thinking about how we are creating our budget and what we're allocating funds to. I just was thinking we could be more intentional about including them in this process.
We also survey, now that I think about it on top of them, we also survey all staff at the central office and at the school level, because off the top of my head, the first thing that come to mind is that they want to see better facilities. It's number one on most people's list, so we do survey school staff, including teachers, and then my colleague, Dr. Whitelaw, just reminded me that principals are involved in Leadership Development Week around conversations around the budget.
Any other questions? All right. Great job, Tito. That'll conclude the Archer Budget Finance Committee.
All right, great afternoon. All right, so we're going to go over discussion items. 2.01, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Inc., Science, Technology, Engineering, Math, and Medicine Partnership. Dr. Whitelaw.
Thank you. Thank you, Board Member Otey. First of all, we want to highlight that we do have a representative from St. Jude in the audience today, and we would definitely like her to stand to give a round of applause because this is our partnership, so we do want to definitely thank her for attending and working in this work with us, so thank you. So this is our St. Jude's Children's Research STEM Partnership. It is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the Memorandum of Understanding with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital to support the development and implementation of science, technology, engineering, math, and medicine. Those learning opportunities across 10 elementary, 2 middle, and 3 high schools. So if you jump down to the description and background, we give you the following schools and the following programs. In partnership with MSCS, St. Jude will develop and support the following STEM programs. Kindergarten Collaborative, What Humans Need to Survive. You see that's going to be at Brewster, Seattle, Delano, Germanshire, Idlewild, Caldwell Guthrie, Snowden, Grandwood, Hanley, and Whitehaven Elementary. And we are building up the feeder pattern to those high schools and middle schools who have STEM programs. The first grade collaborative pilot, again, you see that at Grandwood and Brewster. Middle school collaborative pilot, that's at Snowden and Mount Pisgah. And then we have the virtual STEM Academy, and this provides teachers access to a series of online STEM learning modules at Cordova, Southwind, and Medical District High. So again, the gap analysis is across K through 12 experience, but because we want to provide access to the engagement in our STEM-focused learning, as well as principals at individual schools engaged in the kindergarten collaborative. So again, our expected outcome is to support the district improvement of science proficiency, which aligns to the academic plan, and you all heard about that on last month, through the expansion of STEM learning opportunities at 10 elementary, 2 middle, and 3 high schools. Any questions? Not all of them, no. But some of these schools also, this is where we're starting the work so that we can build the STEM program. I do have a list of the schools that have the STEM program.
I was just going to ask that question.
I do. I have it in my notes. So I'm going to call on a friend to help me. Come on, Ms. Maples, as I'm looking through my notes. I know you gave it to me. Yeah, call a friend. Oh, STEM designated schools. Here they are. Thank you. Burris Chapel, Bolton, East T STEM, Idlewild, John P. Freeman, Maxine Smith, Middle College, Parkway Village, Seattle, Brewster, and Whitehaven Elementary. These are our STEM schools already existing in the district.
Thank you.
How would this fit into the regionalization plan?
Great question. And you're sounding like our superintendent, because he asked that was the very first question. So our plan is that we're going to work in the regions, but definitely feed into our feeder pattern, like Whitehaven Elementary feeds into Whitehaven High. We also know that we have medical district and some of the schools that are in that surrounding area. We also have it at Southwind High as well as at Cordova. So we're trying to ensure that this is our first collaborative. So we know that we have a lot of work to do. But again, we want to build on what we have and make sure that we provide access to.
I have a question. Is there any way that Oak Haven could get the STEM program? Because that is one of the feeder patterns that we have, but they don't have that over there at Oak Haven, because we have Oak Haven Elementary, Middle, and High, and they all connected.
Let me look into that first. Let me first talk to the principal. And then also let me make sure that we are working with Ms. Maples and the STEM. But for this, these are the schools that have been selected for the first round. We definitely can be adding on to schools. So I assure you of that. We just wanted to get our feet wet and also make this MOU a collaborative instead of schools just reaching out to St. Jude. And Dr. Richmond.
Yes, let me add a little context. So this is an MOU specifically with St. Jude for these schools.
Yes.
That does not mean that we do not have other STEM programming at other schools. So for example, Whitehaven Elementary is a STEM school, Haven View is a STEM school, Whitehaven High School is a STEM school, even though they're not part of the St. Jude MOU. So I want to clarify that this is just an MOU specific for St. Jude partnering with these schools versus other schools that we know have a STEM focus or a STEAM focus, which Dr. Whitelaw shared the exhaustive list. Every school on the list that she shared is not part of this specific memorandum of understanding.
We were trying to think of all the questions that we probably need to answer. Thank you, Dr. Richmond.
Thank you, Dr. Richmond. I was just asking for the near future.
Yes.
For the near future, I'm asking.
Yeah, for the near future, yes.
And there may, again, I know we talk a lot about STEM and STEAM, but there are other foci that our feeder patterns could focus on outside of STEM and STEAM.
And also, Dr. Richmond, I do want to highlight even, and I know again that we're going to be talking about this in September, but also through our CCTE programming, Dr. Hogan. So this is just, again, with St. Jude, but you will see our program of work, our feeder pattern, as well as through the CCTE programming that we're planning to bring in September.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
What is the wisdom behind leaving high schools out of this? You don't have a high school in it.
Yes, we have the Virtual STEM Academy pilot.
Same for the St. Jude.
Yes, sir, we do. It's at the bottom, and there'll be learning modules, Cordova, Southwind, and Medical District High. And we are definitely leaning into Medical District because, again, want to highlight that those students not only leave with a high school degree, but they also leave with an associate's degree as well.
So they will have the interaction with St. Jude?
Yes, they will.
In their coursework as well?
Yes. In this particular pilot, the Virtual STEM Academy.
Thank you. Excuse me.
How were those schools selected?
I've been trying to ask a question before I raised my hand. Can I jump in? Thank you.
After she answers that question.
Yes.
I'm sure it may be the exact same one. So, Dr. Whitelaw, I just wanted to get more into, first of all, this is amazing. I'm excited about it. And as far as the St. Jude portion of that interaction, can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like?
Yes. So the interaction would be that St. Jude used to work with just individual principals and schools. So now we're trying to align the work, and so they will be actually either going into our schools or offering professional learning for our teachers, and so guiding that work with our students and teachers around the science modules. And so identified schools have already signed up with St. Jude for the partnership. This MOU will assist in the future intentionality with expanding to other schools. And so again, they will be working alongside of us. And this actually has been and I definitely would have to have St. Jude to come out and share the whole presentation, but this has been almost a year in planning and really being intentional about focusing on a subset of schools. But by far, we have schools that reach out to them individually.
Thank you.
I just want to let people know that the Grahamwood program's been happening for quite some time, and I participated in the white coat ceremony, and that's pretty cool, with the elementary students who actually get coated or whatever. What do you call it? White coat. Yeah, they have their coats, and yeah. So thank you for that and all the good work you're doing. And I can't wait to see this travel throughout our district. So thank you very much for your partnership.
Commissioner McKinney just tapped on to what I said because I did participate in some of the white coat events and had fun with the kids. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
Ms. Kate Ayers, thank you.
All right, 2.02, Strategic Partners for Literacy.
Yes, Ms. Amy Maples is going to do a presentation, but first of all, I want to highlight that I do think that we have a representative from the SPL, and that is Ms. Holly Coleman that's in the audience, so I would love for her to stand as well, and just thank her for being a partner with us. Dr. Maples.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, board members. I am Amy Maples, Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction. And so one of our big community partnerships that we have in place, and I know some of you all have joined us in the past, are the Strategic Partners for Literacy. If you'll go to the next slide, because we'll come back to those community partners. And so we just wanted to provide a quick overview so that everybody was aware of this work that is occurring and the partnerships that we have across the county. And so when you see this photograph to the left, because that's our big community partnership plan. That is really what grounds our work with our community partners. And this work with Memphis-Shelby County Schools officially started in 2022 with the community partnership plan. And it identifies the collective priorities. So we have our community partners, many of which you saw on the slide previously, but we identify those collective priorities to really positively impact what's happening in our pre-K through third grade classrooms when we think of foundational literacy. And so those latter two bullets that you see, those are our undergirding goals that we think about, that we want to identify We're looking at not just proficiency, but we want to really focus in on our students' reading ability, because just because I'm not proficient doesn't mean I'm not a reader. And so as of this past school year, we had approximately 46% of our third grade students reading on grade level as measured by the Universal Reading Screener. So definitely, and I think Dr. Richmond may want to add a little bit more here.
I do want to point out for the listening audience as well as for board members what Dr. Maples just pointed out. Just because a student does not score proficiency on TCAP does not mean that student is not reading on grade level. I'm going to say that again. Just because a student does not score proficient on the TCAP does not mean they're not reading on grade level. TCAP assesses how students are doing on those standards versus a student being able to read on grade level. As the interim superintendent, what I'm going to continue to ask my team to do is to educate both the board and the general public around TCAP assessments so that everybody will be more knowledgeable and aware of what these assessments are really assessing and measuring versus people saying that our students cannot read. It does not assess reading level. It assesses proficiency based on curriculum standards. So thank you again, but I also want to thank all of our strategic partners in literacy as well for supporting us in this work. So thank you, Dr. Maples.
I have a question for, if I may. Thank you for making that distinction, and thank you for saying that you want to educate the public. I just want us to be very intentional on how we do that, and being very clear about what reading on grade level looks like, and then what this whole proficiency, the TCAP proficiency thing, and understanding that it's a one-shot thing you got to do one day, and it doesn't necessarily tell you whether that student can read on grade level. And I really think people need to understand that, and we need to do a very clear communications plan around that and educating everybody what that means. So I appreciate that distinction, Dr. Richmond.
I was just going to piggyback off of Dr. Richmond because I've seen it firsthand where they say our children can't read. They can read. A lot of kids get test anxiety and they just freeze up on tests. My son took the TCAS. Of course, he scored high, exceptional and above exceptional, because I work with them. But a lot of kids have test anxiety. So that doesn't mean that they can't not read. It's just that they just freeze up when it comes to tests. And that's the part that they haven't gotten. Thank you so much.
Thank you, board members. Thank you for calling that out. And as a reminder, we do include the reading level on the student report cards because that is measured by our universal reading screener. Next slide, please. So this visual just shows a little bit of the timeline and goes back through the history of how we got to the point with our early literacy community partnership plan. And I know I have Divelin to my left. One of the big pieces that this worked when it started grassroots back in 2015 and focusing on that birth to third grade really assisted with our pre-K and the work across the state that happened and that really transpired around our pre-K. And so you see in 2019, one of the items I want to call out there is the Early Literacy Consortium. So that body really engages the full county when we think about focused on literacy. But we are towards the end, really after COVID, seeing that we started this work in 2021, but the plan officially kicked in 2023, and we just concluded the first phase of this plan. And so our community partners and our internal stakeholders are actually working on updating that plan for the next 3 years as aligned with our academic plan. Next slide, please. These are some of the community partners that have been in this work along the way with us. We have Ms. Coleman again that is with the Hyde Foundation, and if there are some missing, we would love to have them out as well, invite them because you know the work of literacy is quite large, and so there's always opportunity to continue to improve our partnerships. And we do meet monthly. This year we will meet monthly on Fridays. The first Friday of the month we will meet monthly, and we will also have a quarterly meeting for the larger group, some of those other community partners that may be interested in identifying where they can support as well. Next slide, please. And then this visual just gives a bit of an overview, and it's taken directly from the community partnership plan. But what you see there are the priorities that really ground the work, the collective priorities. And you see over there to the left, a lot of that work that started here around pre-K. We want to continue to impact educator effectiveness, what's happening with instruction, so not just empowering our teachers, but also identifying what are those best practices, evidence-based practices for instruction, as well as supporting our students and families. And so in the parentheses, you'll see some of those items that we have implemented throughout the history of this plan, and then some items that are upcoming as well. Next slide, please. So take any final questions.
Do we have any current data on some of the outcomes or impact or that we've had with this partnership?
I would just say in our grades 3 through 5, they're probably the grade band that came closest to hitting the TISA goal, which was 30% in reading language arts, and we were at 29.1%, so we were 0.9% off from hitting that particular milestone. I would think that some of the initiatives and supports that we put in place played a part in, again, our grades 3 through 5 coming close to hitting that benchmark. Some of the initiatives, yep. Sure.
Strategic partners for literacy.
I had a quick
You got a question?
On the collective priorities slide, I know that I heard that we will be updating the plan for the next 3 years. Some of these things I know we haven't done, or are all of these things planned, or this is going to be revised? I've already skipped ahead to the MOU, and it seems like we're funding a position, which is great, but I think as literacy being a top priority, do we need additional items in the budget to execute this plan? Maybe that's for the next item, but like everything that we want to do, is it already funded?
I think definitely when we go to the next item, I'm sorry, Board Member Otay, Board Member Garcia, Superintendent, I think that the next item, we will speak more to of the person who will be, that's why we're bringing it to the board, to split it between the community partners and ourselves of a person. The things that are listed here, we have worked on the SEA pipeline and EPPs, and again, this was something that came out of us meeting with Dr. Richmond, that we wanted to give you clear examples and clear initiatives that we have worked on. For example, I'll definitely give a shout out that All Memphis was critical and instrumental in providing all the SEA's training on really around, slipped my mind.
The science of reading.
Yeah, the science of reading. So that was one thing that they provided, as well as they also provided support with us just going in as a district team and just making sure that we're able to come back and present that information.
Yeah, I think when we talk about the position of this MOU, if there are, and this is connected to a conversation I had with Chief Langston, if literacy is a top priority, having them, like, as we have savings or we are able to shift dollars, if there are, I would like shovel-ready things we can do to increase literacy levels. Like that, I mean, this being I think has been a top priority of the district, so yes, we want to fund a position, but if there are things that we can be ready to do and execute, that's where I would want to see budget dollars go. Thanks.
Thanks for your question, Board Member Garcia. I think the one reason I wanted the team to present this presentation is so we can start to really, again, as I said earlier, to look at fidelity of implementation. Having that project manager is going to help us manage all of the various treatments, so to speak, that we've said should influence literacy outcomes. If we know that these literacy outcomes are helping us move the needle in grades 3 through 5, and if we can look at fidelity and implementation, I think our next phase would be looking at, do we implement something similar in our grades 6 through 8, because we know that middle schools are not performing at the level that we'd like for them to perform at. So I think this is just the beginning of us, again, being very, very strategic and thoughtful in how we approach the work. As I shared with the team, every month during committee meetings and work session, I want us bringing different presentations that are truly centered and focused on the work at hand, so that we collectively can see if we are or aren't moving the needle around these things that we're investing in. If you want to go back, can you go back to that slide? So when you talk about SEAs, pipeline, and EPPs, we want to have a dashboard where we're looking at our educator pipelines and demographics. You know, when we think about grades pre-K through 2 or pre-K through 5, do we have a highly qualified certificated teacher in those roles? But if not, does the dashboard show us where each teacher along the continuum is? If I'm a permit 1, 2, or 3 teacher, am I in an EPP program? Have I passed my praxis? Those are some of the things that a project manager as well as a dashboard should be showing us in regards to our talent management. When you think about, for example, dyslexia and the science of reading, instructional strategies, have we ensured that every pre-K through 5 teacher has had professional development where we've been able to track that we've given them professional development around both dyslexia and the science of reading, not just 1 or 2 episodes, but to a level of proficiency where when our academic coaches go in and evaluate those teachers or SEAs, we can see the practice being implemented with students. When we think about early literacy teachers, again, educator recruitment and retention, are we retaining those teachers that we're investing in through professional development so that we get a return on investment? That's what I'll be expecting that project manager to be managing. When we get down to our literacy coaches, Seeding Success in TNTP, how are they, again, interfacing and providing professional development, or how are they helping us with educator effectiveness, so forth and so on. When we start to look at, again, this is from, I think, BCG. BCG was hired to put together this plan and to do this assessment. So what we've done as a team is gone back, gotten this information, and we're now trying to look at where are we in implementation, but also how can we dust it off and be more intentional about doing it with fidelity and using that project manager, which we'll present later on, to help manage the implementation of this.
I love it. I mean, dedicated capacity focused on this issue makes perfect sense to me. And then I think even as we can associate data with educators or SEAs who have some of those formal instructional practice, whether it's a certificate or an intensive course, if we can associate those with student outcomes, thinking about providing a stipend if you go through a science of reading or certain trainings because they are associated with higher student outcome. I think making sure that we know that it impacts student achievement. So this is great. I'd love to hear about the MOU.
All right. The next, I'm sorry, any more questions? The next item definitely now dovetails into this work, because basically here we are asking the recommendation. It is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the Memorandum of Understanding with the Urban Child Institute and the Hive Family Foundation on behalf of the Strategic Partners for Literacy Group for a project manager position, which will provide guidance and oversight of the district SPL work with community partners. And so here, I'm leaning over for the maximum salary total $120,660.75.
Yeah, let me weigh in. That salary is incorrect. It's lower than that. So we need to correct the amount.
Yes.
On the salary.
Yeah, it should be 91, so we do need to correct that, Dr. Richmond. Thank you. So that needs, and we talked about that this morning to the senior leadership team. So it's in between 88 and this, and we landed at 90, about 91 or 92,000, and we'll make sure we correct that before it comes on next Tuesday. All right, we'll correct that inside of our notes. Okay? The project manager will provide strategic guidance and oversight of the district-led SPO work with community partners to positively impact student literacy outcomes. And so again, you heard Dr. Maples talk about that the SPL group will meet monthly. This includes a variety of community partners, and we gave the list of the partners here that will be in this work with us, as well as this community partnership plan was born from the SPL work in 2023, along with really working with the ELC, the Early Literacy Consortium. They were involved in this work as well. If you go to the next slide. Again, the work was previously overseen by our district early literacy director and team of 10 advisors. Since then, now this is just a 3-member team currently in place. So again, we want someone that's constantly thinking about and really concentrated on this particular area. Our expected outcomes is to support the district improvement of literacy by 5% through strategically leading the SPL group focused on early literacy priorities. Again, we would change that salary to get the accurate salary, but again, 50% will be funded by Mscs, and the other 50% will be funded by the Urban Child Institute and the Hyde Family Foundation. Any questions? Okay, Reading Horizons. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Coleman. Peer power, this is early literacy, Ms. Coleman, but definitely, and I know that they're on that other end that Dr. Richmond is talking about for middle school and high schools. So definitely, we just had a conversation again, a high-level conversation, but I'll be reaching out to Peer Power just to get some additional information about some things that they have brought to our attention. Mm-hmm. Yes. Reading Horizons. It is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the contract for Reading Horizons as the dyslexia intervention in the amount of $539,895. And we will be implementing this dyslexia intervention tool, so it is aligned to the Tennessee Annotated Code 491229, which outlines that the LEA provides these identified students with dyslexia-specific intervention. So we are bringing this to you all, to the board. Again, not want to read word by word, but this intervention will be expected to occur through the direct, explicit instruction that is multisensory, systematic, and it is a cumulative of the knowledge educators. So definitely working with our educators to implement the Reading Horizon inside of the classroom. The curriculum must address reading, writing, and spelling, aligned with the critical concepts. So when you think about phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, sound symbol association, syllable structure, syntax, and semantics, those are the things that we'll be leaning in with Reading Horizon. And the curriculum must provide a formative assessment to track student progress and support instructional planning. And this did go out for an RFP, so this was selected through the committee. The next slide. We want to bring up that we have not previously had a dyslexia specific intervention, that we did utilize the iReady toolbox of the Mills component, but now iReady toolbox resources with the multisensory, explicit, aligned to student need, and systematic, and that spell out, or the acronym is Mills. So our expected outcome is to increase the number of students displaying grade level reading skills by providing intervention for our students through this tool to meet the need of those students exhibiting those foundation literacy deficits. Again, it's $539,895.
So I have a question
Yes.
about this. So we understand that one of the ways that we get funding is that we identify our dyslexic students. We also have been educated and educating myself about that we're missing even identifying a lot of our dyslexic students. So this is more of once we identify them, then this is what we're doing. But I want to back up one step and ask, what do we have in place to appropriately identify them? And then I understand this is the remediation that we're using. And then in using this remediation, I see that it's a curriculum and it's going to be by a knowledgeable instructor. So what does that look like in terms of training and support for that person to make sure that our students who are actually identified are being appropriately remediated? So it's a three-part question.
Yes, I'm gonna start backwards and go all the way back. Whenever we bring any type of new curriculum into the district or anything, that we're very strategic of making sure that teachers know exactly how to use the curriculum. So what it looks like is that we will have it in the regions where we call definitely a first grade representative, second grade representative, a third grade representative, and of that sort to train our teachers, and then they would take the information back. But then also we will have virtual where all first grade teachers can join second grade. So we'll be holding their hands this first year through the process. So again, our PD will be intentional, and we can make sure we have a timeline, make sure we give you the exact dates that we'll be providing the PD, and also who's going to be able to help and support us, that we do have academic coordinators on the ground in each region, as well as we have our C&I department who can support.
I appreciate that. And again, I hope that we are really, really being strategic about how we're going to support this, because I think we all understand that might be one of the issues, that we're not identifying dyslexic students, which is impeding our ability to make sure that they are reading on grade level. And so I want to make sure that whatever we need to do as a board can be supportive of that. So if there's more, if we got to help with putting more money somewhere.
And then too, for your second question, I want to definitely give Dr. Maples and Emily, who is definitely part of this intervention work. But for the second part, talking about how we identify, looking at because we're moving from looking at the characteristics of dyslexia into really identifying students who are identified as dyslexia students. So I'll let Amy and Emily just walk us back a little what we did last year, now what's going to change this year.
So, Board Member McKinney, one of the big changes, because I know this is K-12, so all of our students engage in the Universal Reading Screener. And one of the pieces that changed over the past couple of years is they're no longer cut scores that are being leveraged. So there are a variety of literacy-specific tasks, one-on-one tasks that students have to engage in. And so all students have the opportunity to engage in the Universal Reading Screener. And then depending on how many of those areas that they're struggling with, instead of looking at a cut score, it's looking at, hey, am I struggling in phonological awareness? Am I also struggling in syntax? Am I also struggling with fluency? And so that helps identify students that have these foundational reading deficits or characteristics of dyslexia. And then the screener, stays available. So as we have students that matriculate into us, they can are able to engage in the assessment as well.
Okay, I'll probably have some more questions as I think about it.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate it.
If you would send those over, Board Member McKinney, we would definitely answer those questions. Just any questions that you all may have.
Dr. Whitelaw, I just want to say thank you, because I appreciate this, because some of the parents of students that have dyslexia, they think that they are being looked over and they're not tending to their needs. So this here explains to not just me, but to the parents that have children with dyslexia, that there is help and that we will work with them to get them to the next level. So thank you, Mrs. Maples. Thank you, Dr. Whitelaw.
And we thank for the push. I think that we've been meeting over the last year. and more than a year, we've been at the table talking about how to get better at this work. So we appreciate the push as well from parents and from other people in the community.
And some of this came out through, some of this came out through the strategic partners of literacy as well. So I also want to acknowledge these are the type of conversations that have been taking place, and we find those conversations to be robust and rewarding as, again, we try to address the needs of our students. I'm sorry, Board Member McKissick, you had a question.
Dr. Richmond, no, I was just going to echo that this is a work that's actually been dating back more than 2023, before the children's literacy was kind of born out of it among the many conversations. So I know that you've been working on this for a long time, certainly since 2019 from what I can recall. So thank you. This is great. And to my colleague, if I know money's always you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, but if we need to do a little more to make sure, I would support that we try to find the funds. Where's Mr. Langston when you need him?
Right.
But
I think he ran out the room when I said that.
Right, exactly.
We will be more than happy to share that.
So whatever we can do to help.
Thank you.
We will
Thank you
help.
to
Thank you so
all
much.
You. Yeah, it's been a long time.
This is much needed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you to the team. The next MOU, and we have been bringing these MOUs with our college partners. You have seen them over the last couple of months, but this one is just recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approve the Memorandum of Understanding between Mscs and the following college partners, which is TCAT, Tech, University of Memphis, and Medical District, as well as Southwest Community College. Additionally, because this is a standalone MOU, because these are for the 5-year, additionally, it's recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the standalone MOU between Medical District and Southwest Tennessee Community College that ended on July 31st, 2025 for the 24-25 school year. So we tried to include to make sure. And the purpose, this is dual enrollment. It provides eligible students with the opportunity to earn both college and high school graduation credits. MSCS has a long-standing partnership with our college partners. And again, 48% of our students participated in the early post-secondary opportunities, EPSOs, in the 24-25, compared to 53% in 23-24, and 8.8% of our students participated in the dual enrollment courses in 24-25. Next, again, we give you all the numbers. Some previous outcome, 3,146 students participated in our dual enrollment courses. 94% of these students of the 3,146 earned college credit. 2024-25 data, 279 students enrolled in courses through TCAT. 98% had a pass rate. 2,115 students enrolled in Southwest, 90% pass rate. 689 students participated through the U of M. 97% of these students earned college credit. So that speaks highly to the work that we're doing in partnership. Again, our outcomes, we want our students to increase the number of EPSOs they have attained. We want them to earn college credits that they can transfer, as well as be used or required to complete an undergraduate degree, as well as, again, we want to continue to have this pass rate of 90% or higher.
I have a quick question. Do we know, I noticed we had a dip from 23, 24 to last year. Do we have any idea why we had that dip?
Yeah, and we can get that back to you, because we were talking about and discussing just some things that could have happened, and we're looking at the data, Ms. McKinney. So definitely giving Dr. Taylor an opportunity, because this year all of dual enrollment, all of dual credit will live in one place.
Okay.
And so now we can really wrap our hands around it. But we pointed out today, so definitely we can provide a clear explanation for the board.
Thank you.
And we'll have that question.
And any strategies to?
We'll include both. We'll include the reason for the dip, as well as Dr. Taylor will talk about the strategies that we will put in place this year. And we'll get that. Okay. All right. Next, the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. Again, this is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the contract for services provided by the Memphis Symphony Orchestra in the amount of $98,800. The contract will continue to enhance our fine arts opportunities in grades K-12, so we're excited about this work, bringing the orchestra into schools, providing small group and individualized student assessment support, and supporting our music directors with pedagogy guidance. Again, the background, they have partnered with us for the last 20 years. The orchestra has provided students with access to concerts, instrument engagement opportunities, as well as really giving us guidance, one-on-one guidance during the instructional day. So again, this is something that we're bringing to the board. And if you go on to the next slide, we will say here, again, our expected outcomes. At least 90% of our elementary students will participate in the orchestra concert series, including the side-by-side program. So the end of the number of schools that will be involved, 93 of our elementary schools. In addition, at least 70% of our band students in middle school will participate in the orchestra support, and then 50% of our secondary band directors will be engaging in the orchestra support and professional learning. Any questions?
Is the Memphis Symphony Orchestra also a part of the Memphis City's debt? Are they funded through the city of Memphis in any way?
That's a question I have to turn over to Tito. I'm not sure.
No.
It's a private organization?
Yes. It has nothing to do with the city of Memphis.
But it operates in the city of Memphis.
That's correct.
Proper.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next, the J. Delia Music Tech Grant. Again, it's recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education accepts this grant from the Save the Music Foundation for Craigmont Middle School in the amount of $58,300 for the 25-26 school year. The grant funds will provide students with the opportunity to enhance their technical music skills to apply outside the classroom and increase student marketability. So again, the Craigmont Middle School will offer a comprehensive music theory course that integrates music technology to enhance learning. This grant was awarded to Craigmont High School during the 24-25 school year. So again, you will see the feeder pattern work that is happening inside our fine arts program. Awarding the grant to Craigmont Middle School will enhance and impact the feeder pattern offerings. Okay, if you go to the next slide. So again, our outcome, we want to offer, Craigmont Middle School will offer a comprehensive music theory course that integrates music technology to enhance learning. And then the schools that have been previously involved, Craigmont High, Kirby High, and Oak Haven High, have previously received the grant, and each school currently offers this class for students in grades 9 through 12. Okay. State Special Schools Agreement with Shelby County Schools Board of Education. It just recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the agreement with the state of Tennessee for special education services at the state school, the Tennessee School for Deaf, and the Tennessee School for the Blind. And this is pursuant to the Tennessee State Board of Education Rule 0520-0403. So again, we're just bringing this agreement to the board, which outlines the responsibility of Memphis-Shelby County Schools and the state special schools regarding a free and appropriate education for our students. If you go to the next slide. So again, the state special schools, in collaboration with the Board of Education, shall be responsible for developing and implementing an IEP, which will be designed to meet the unique needs of our students enrolled in these classes and enrolled in these schools. The IEP shall not be changed or terminated without an IEP team composed of representatives of the Board of Education and state special schools. I'll kick it over to Dr. Broadway for SEL.
Greetings, Commissioners and Dr. Richmond. It's my first time being able to speak to you today, and I'm excited to introduce two of my colleagues who have worked diligently on the 7 Mindset Social Emotional Learning Curriculum RFP during my onboarding. So I'm now going to turn it over to Drs. Hill and Phillips, and they will present the presentation and will be available for questions.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Broadway. Good afternoon, board members and Interim Superintendent Richmond. Today we bring to you the 7 Mindsets Social Emotional Learning Curriculum. As Dr. Broadway mentioned, this did go through an RFP process. The recommendation is for the board to approve the contract for 7 Mindsets in the amount of $389,000 for year 1 with the option to renew. The purpose of this contract for SEL curriculum is to enhance the overall school culture and climate with one evidence-based program for all of our K through 12 schools to have curriculum to implement social emotional learning. This curriculum will support students in developing the 5 essential social emotional competencies and skills, which include social awareness, self-management, relationship skills, responsible decision-making, and self-awareness. This curriculum will enable our school counselors, social workers, behavior specialists, and other professionals to deliver a high-quality program that aligns to the Collaborative for Academic Social Emotional Learning framework, which is a national framework, and it aligns to the state guidelines for response to intervention, as well as the multi-tier system of support. The 7 Mindsets curriculum is a comprehensive, research-based pre-K through 12 social emotional learning program, and it is designed to promote student well-being, foster a positive school climate, support both academic and behavioral success. And it has been proven to reduce suspension rates in enhanced culture and climate in other urban school districts across the country, which are similar to ours, such as the School District of Philadelphia. Currently, our schools are utilizing various supplemental SEL resources in an attempt to address students' social emotional needs. So we do have a need for a universal SEL curriculum for all schools to have a well-designed structure for implementing social emotional learning, as well as measuring the effective implementation and fidelity. Next slide, please. Although the schools have various resources that they are implementing, there is currently not a district-wide adopted evidence-based curriculum. This lack of consistency limits equitable access and outcomes for all of our students. Approval of this recommendation will close this identified gap by providing equitable access to a universal K through 12 SEL framework and program that will support the whole child and fully aligns SEL efforts with academic and behavioral support as presented in the superintendent's 100-day plan. And there are no previous outcomes because this is a newly proposed curriculum. Next slide, please. And some of our expected outcomes with the adoption of this selected curriculum, it is expected to produce the following benefits: improved academic performance driven by increased student engagement, focus, and readiness to learn. It will also help strengthen our tier support systems, helping us to better identify and support students' needs, a positive school climate and culture, promoting inclusion, respect, empathy, and overall student well-being, as well as a reduction in behavior problems and discipline referrals through the development of those social emotional skills that I mentioned earlier, enhanced emotional regulation and coping strategies, and then, of course, improve attendance and engagement as students develop a stronger sense of the connection and belonging within their school communities. Also, some of our other outcomes will include, by the end of fall 2025, 100% of the district level RTIB ecosystem, and this includes school counseling, our mental health team, our RTIB specialists, attendance liaisons, etc., will receive extensive professional development that will equip them to understand their role, as well as effectively support schools and drive successful implementation of this new curriculum. By spring 2026, 100% of our schools will implement the 7 Mindsets curriculum, ensuring consistent integration of social emotional learning practices across all schools. And then by spring 2026, there will be a reduction in discipline rates across schools by 5%. Next slide, please. And so this aligns to our strategic priority, student achievement, by fostering social emotional growth, character development, and a supportive learning environment. And it also supports our attitude component of the superintendent's 5 A's. By advancing character ed and social emotional learning competencies that we know are essential to improving both academic performance and positive behavior outcomes for our students. And again, the financial cost is $389,000 for year 1 with the option to renew. And this covers all of our schools, and each campus is considered at $2,800. So that encompasses that $389,000.
So, thank you for the presentation.
Yes. We have a few more slides.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to turn it to my colleague, Dr. Phillips, and she'll talk a little bit more about what 7 Mindsets are, and then we'll take questions.
Good evening. So we're extremely excited to be able to bring this to you this evening. One thing I think is important for us to also share is, in addition to 7 Mindsets going through the RFP process, we also ensured that they were aligned to the CASEL 5, which is the National Framework for Social and Emotional Learning. So we made sure that it focused on self-awareness. We made sure that it focused on self-management. We made sure that it focused on relationship skills, as well as responsible decision-making. So we feel really, really comfortable and really confident that this will bring the lift that we so desire with our students across the district in pre-K-12. Also, with this CASEL 5 alignment, it's also important to note, if you look at these 7 mindsets, it's not just about what it's going to do for our students in the school building, but beyond. These are real life skills, getting our students, making sure that they're real world ready. So if you look at the first one, when you think about everything is possible, you look at that and they're talking about how to dream big, how to dream beyond, passion first. What are you great at? We are connected, promotes empathy, 100% accountable, taking personal responsibility, attitude for gratitude. How do you look at life? Are you looking and cherishing the great things and the positive things that's going on? Are you looking at the glass half empty or half full? Live to give, inspiring, generosity. What about our community service and what we're gonna do to be productive citizens? The time is now, not just being present every day, but physically, but also socially and emotionally as well. So we want to make sure that we invest in this just 30 minutes a week. And we were making sure that if you're pre-K, if you're in middle school, if you're in high school, these nuggets will be the talk. They'll be able to talk about it at the kitchen table. They'll be talking about it in the community. If they transfer to another school, they can pick up and run with it because they'll be familiar with this one key curriculum that we'll have permeating throughout our district. Now, who's going to be the trailblazers and carry this? So we have several different components. You heard my colleague talk about the ecosystem. So we do have a district-wide MTSS ecosystem. Next slide. And with that, here are the people that are that make up our ecosystem. So you have school counselors, you have the mental health team, you have the discipline and attendance team, you have student safety, you have student experience, you have alternative education, you have exceptional education, you have the SEL department, but in addition to that, you also have reset room assistants, you have behavior techs, you have RTIB specialists, and you have attendance liaisons. So all of us will be trailblazing this work, and should it be approved, we're already ready August 25th through the 29th at a very high level during LDW week to talk about it, so they'll know that it's on the horizon, that it's forthcoming. And then in September, we're ready to hit the ground rolling when they're coming in with monthly virtual sessions as well as 6 additional sessions. So everybody that supports schools, that touch students, we will be able to serve as a resource. And those themes for the week, we'll know if it's dream big, we'll know if it's think positive. Whatever that theme is, when we go in, we can have interactions and speak to it as well. So we're really, really excited about this opportunity. We have, again, 6 sessions, so by March of 2026, all schools will have this curriculum implemented.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I know there's a cost to this, and what would that be? And where can we find a track record of the success of this program?
So the cost again is $389,000 for 1 year. Received information from our vendor regarding schools across the countries that have utilized this curriculum in Philadelphia, in Chicago, in Georgia, as well as Texas, and
Hillsborough.
Michigan. Yes.
They actually had a research project in Hillsborough County, yes.
And those districts have evidence of success?
Yes.
So so implementing this program, would it knock out the other programs that the schools are already using?
I'd like to say they have those tools, but this allows us to have one tool that everyone can have, one universal thing that we're working on. But they still have tools that they are used to. We don't want to take anything away, but we have one tool that we can focus on for the entire district.
Yeah, I'd love to see the minority participation within this RFP, because I'm sure we have a lot of local organizations that would love to continue to do this work. I don't know if they're vendors or anything, but just local organization. We've had a lot of MOUs for this particular service to come in that's doing this particular work. So it is needed, and more services are needed. But at this particular dollar amount, then the option to renew. And who's going to be teaching this curriculum?
Let me answer both questions. So one question you asked is about will schools continue to be able to use what they used before? What this is what you would call a tier 1 intervention. And that requires you to have one curriculum that universally at a tier 1 level, everyone can be implementing as a tier 1 intervention for the whole entire district that will be implemented with fidelity. That doesn't mean that schools can't have a tier 2 or tier 3 intervention of something of their choice, okay? In regards to local vendor participation, this particular curriculum, based on the RFP, is a best practice proven curriculum. This is a proven curriculum. And what I had the team to do was to identify 2 other urban districts or several other urban districts who have instituted. So we could have somebody locally who says they know SEL, but their curriculum may not be a research-based curriculum. So we don't know, based on the scientific method and it being research-based, if it has been implemented with fidelity well enough for us to know that it's research-based in order for it to be outcome-based for us to implement it. So this is a research-based curriculum that we know has been proven in other urban centers. We probably don't have anyone locally who has a research-based SEL curriculum. So this isn't something that just any person within our city would have for us to purchase.
I think I'm gonna push back on it just a bit, because I've worked with those programs who has a research-based program. I mean, they're currently doing it in in the county jails right now, just as for the adults as well. I mean, for those people that's in jail. They have proven results. I think that we continue to give local minorities opportunities to scale up. Then they can prove to the state, they can prove to other states that this work is actually being done locally. So I just like to see, even if they even knew if there was an opportunity out there like that. So a lot of them is not registered with on the vendors list, so they probably won't get the emails or anything.
Right. What I can also do, and I do want the team to do this particularly for certain RFPs. I want us to start to bring the RFPs to the work session. You can see everyone who bid it. You can see what the scoring is. That's how I want us to operate with transparency. Mr. Langston is showing it to you. So we can see everyone that bid it, who was on the assessment team. I want everything that we do to be transparent so that people know that we're operating with integrity. And so again, this was the curriculum that won. I'll let Dr. Hill weigh in. And again, if there are some other curriculums that are locally, again, it could be a group who's implementing a curriculum, but it's not their curriculum. So it wouldn't necessarily be theirs, even though they may have a company, if that makes sense to you.
I got you. And so, and the second part of the question was, who is going to be teaching this particular curriculum?
You want to answer that?
Thank you for that question. So again, this is exciting. You heard me speak to the trailblazers as far as the MTSS district staff that will be supporting schools. But every school will have what we call an SEL ambassador as well. So they'll be making sure that they are supporting the schools. We have implemented the key components, but all teachers will be expected to help this 30 minutes a week, and it could be after school, at the end of the day during exploratory, but 30 minutes a week with this curriculum for Tier 1. Now, Tier 2 and Tier 3, we got different modules. We'll go a little bit deeper with Tier 2 and Tier 3, and those will be with our school counselors and our social workers. So we'll be covering all Tier 1, 2, and 3 based on the RTIB pyramid.
Also, I wanted to speak to your other question, Board Commissioner Porter. So with the RFP, we received 14 submissions, and one of those was a local vendor. However, her program spoke to middle and high school only. Again, when we sent out for an RFP, we wanted a pre-K through 12 program so we could have a universal program for all of our schools. In the past, we've had programs that only spoke to elementary or middle school and not high school. This program is a universal program, and it's pre-K through 12. It speaks to all 3 tiers. We have the Tier 1, which Dr. Richmond just described to you, which would be universal, a core curriculum. And then at Tier 2 and Tier 3, we have modules around wellness for mental health, and our school counselors and social workers will work more in depth with that particular portion of the curriculum. But it will speak to all of our schools, and so this is why this curriculum was selected.
I'd like to add one thing. They were so serious about the RFP process when I was onboarded, and I was just like, okay, who is it? I wanted to kind of know who was up. They wouldn't even tell me. I was not on the committee. They were solid with it. So I appreciate that question, but I commend them on how professionally they handled that process.
And I also want to add too, sometimes too, our local vendors, with this particular RFP, how many people are they sending to support implementation?
So we will have a person assigned for our district, and then they will bring a representative to support each of our 5 regions.
Okay, so the other thing too, when people are bidding on RFPs would be, do they have the level of capacity to support a curriculum being implemented with over 100,000 students and impacting over 6,000 employees. So again, with them having 1 lead person and 5 people who are going to be on the ground
supporting the regions, it helps us with scaling and implementation. So I appreciate that context as well.
Board Member Murphy.
Thank you. This is a great implementation into our district. And if it's going to change the dynamics of our students, then I am all for it. If we can get our children to come to school, do their work, and we know we have children that have some issues that we need to. Who slammed the door? Oh, we know that we have some children that have some issues that they have to deal with, but it's those troubled kids that we need to reach to keep them from getting suspended, to keep them from getting expelled from school, because there's something deeper that we have not looked into yet. And so those are some of the things that we need to focus on. And then you can help my son. He antisociable, so he needs those social skills. But it's the mere fact that you're reaching beyond what we expected, and that's what we need in the district, because all kids are not bad kids. It's just something that's happening prior to them getting to the school, or something happening in their family life, and their lives is just not like other people's lives. So therefore, I think that this is good. It'll keep our children coming to school, and anything that we can do to help our children to move forward and to succeed, that's what I'm all for it. Thank you.
I agree with the need. I think this is well thought out. I have no objection to this platform. I've also taught when we did have a universal SEL curriculum, and I want to, sometimes it doesn't happen. 30 minutes a week actually is a lot of instructional time. It is a lot of time with our students. I don't want to penalize or punish our teachers. Or anyone involved in the implementation or trailblazing team. I want just an honest assessment of how hard this, or what the implementation looked like. I think similar to when we started SEAs, right? We got all these people. Well, about 40% of their time is doing the thing we thought we were going to do, or we're not getting there. I want anyone involved in implementing this curriculum to know they can be honest about how difficult, or if it is difficult, I'm making an assumption, to implement it, so we can make space for it, because this is good humans and part of the whole child, but it is also deeply connected to being college and career ready. Our employers and higher ed say many of the things that we're talking about are what is hardest to teach when you get out of K through 12 spaces. So if there's a way that, if there are implementation difficulties, I just want us to encourage an open environment where they can say, this is just really hard, I can't find 30 minutes, and we help them problem solve, and look at this as an initial year of how did this go? Keep the importance on it, but also understand there's a high demand on instructional time.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Garcia. We actually thought about that, because we don't want it to be one more thing, and we don't want our teachers to feel they have something else on their plate. When I worked in Atlanta Public Schools and we started initial, with Castle, from the very beginning, and it was one more thing. People were going to classrooms to see if you were doing it, to see if it was on your lesson plan. We do not want it to be that. We want it to be authentic conversations that happen throughout the day. It could be 5 minutes in the middle of the day, something, if you know the theme for the week. We want it to be, like you said, these are competencies that they need in real world, so we want it to be natural.
I think one of the things we are providing our new and novice teachers are pre-made lesson plans. So even thinking about places where we can incorporate these and make it easy in the questions that are aligned to the standard, and making it as easy to implement. I trust y'all how, but I'm saying as easy as it is on our classroom teachers and those who interact with our students to implement, the better, because this is very important. I appreciate all the work.
Thank you. And at a very high level, I just want to respond just briefly to what you're speaking about. We're completely on that page and have really thought that through as well. And like Chief Broadway just shared, we don't want it to be that one more thing. We want everyone to embrace it, because we're looking at just how we pour into the adults and to the students. We all need this curriculum. And so when we look at that, we're talking about our SEL ambassador. And so we have those MTSS school level teams. And so they're to meet monthly. And when they meet, one of the main topics that they have to talk about is how is it going with our SEL curriculum. And then the quarterly comp steps as well. when the CompStat is the implementation of it. So if they are having problems or need support, because we don't want to just go in and be, too intrusive, but we want to make sure that we are supporting. So if you see coaching and site visits, SEL team by request, then we'll be having those 6 trainings when they're coming in. We'll be having those intensives, and we'll be able to train, and also simultaneously informing parents as well through our family forums. So all of us will be speaking that same language. And then the 20-day celebrations, where we're looking for the year-to-year trends, 20-day period last year compared to this year, where our referrals, and we want to celebrate those small wins as we move towards the end of the year.
Thank you so much for all this thoughtfulness. Appreciate it.
Board Member Love. Is the curriculum culturally sensitive?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
What's going on in our climate today?
Yes, ma'am. And also, not only is it culturally sensitive, it's going to have our DNA. So should this curriculum be approved, we together devise, the MTSS team along with the 7 Mindsets team, will together devise the scope and sequence that all schools will have. So that curriculum will make sure it has our DNA and able to face those barriers that our students face. And one thing that we really like is talking about dream outside of your situations and your circumstances. So it's talking about how we look past trauma, how we look past just where we are, and then just think about the sky, how to reach for the stars, so to speak. So it is a focus on what we face here and based on the national framework as well.
Many, many years ago, the board did a equity audit. And even though the data is old, Black students were getting suspended at a higher rate than their counterparts. That's going to be included in here. Racism is a serious issue, and everybody doesn't want to talk about racism. The only way we can move forward is we've got to identify the racist things we do in the district and as a community and as a state. That's going to be addressed in the SEL.
We're addressing that as a district. We understand there's disproportionality in just what you're speaking to. Black students, Black boys, special education, that's high on our list for our whole Office of Student Support. So we hear you, and we're definitely looking at that with our discipline and attendance departments. We're looking at that. Thank you, Ms. Love, for lifting that.
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
The regional superintendents, they're going to work closely with the consultants?
Yes, we will all work together. When the representatives come to do the deep dive trainings, they will be broken up into the regions. And so the regional superintendents will be a part of that as we roll out the new curriculum and how training and follow-up sessions will go.
Final comment. I have said numerous times that when there is a violent act in a community, all schools need to be notified, especially not just traditional schools, optional schools too. The kids come from everywhere, and they need consoling when there is a crime rate in their community. That curriculum, this curriculum can address that.
Yes, so the curriculum speaks to, it's called Momentum. This is the mental wellness piece. As we shared earlier, the curriculum addresses each of the tiers. At tier 2 and 3, they have a momentum module, and it speaks to the different trauma, crisis, the errands law, just the different aspects dealing with students that may be experiencing any type of trauma, and the counselors and social workers will work with those particular modules to help support our students in the schools.
And this program gives our students a platform where they can talk about things that they may not have talked about before. So we'll know what's going on, so we can get them other tiers of support. Because sometimes if you don't have anything, then some students just sit in whatever trauma they may be going through every day.
So will the teachers involved in this program, what certifications would you need to implement this from teachers that you would have to hire?
Their regular certification, but making sure that they are trained on the their regular certification.
So they can be certified in any discipline?
K through 12, just whatever their discipline is, yes, sir.
So this curriculum will integrate with whatever they're teaching?
Yes.
Math, science, English?
They want, it could come up in a math lesson. It's to be integrated and go throughout the day.
So you will have to, so let me ask you this. Are you saying that you will use the current teachers we have and they would be trained in this, or you would have to hire teachers?
No, current teachers.
So all of the teachers who are currently in the school would have to buy into this program and implement it in their curriculum. So you're going to have the math teachers, the science teachers, the social studies, the English teachers, all of them would have to use this platform?
They will all be trained on this platform.
In their discipline?
As part of their professional development overall.
So if they are teaching,
yes, sir,
Macbeth,
yes,
they have to find a way to, this has to be some kind of way interrelated?
If it naturally fits in that part of their lesson, but it's 30 minutes a week. But
so you're saying we would not have to worry about hiring teachers then?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Hopefully.
No, sir. Questions?
I have something else to say. This is a great program, the way it's presented. I would, piggybacking off of Commissioner Hewitt Garcia, I would be very interested to know what the data is like. Kids can't learn if they are hungry, upset, and had a bad night. I would implement it in the beginning of school, not the end, to give the students a time to get their self together, relax, and get the stress off of their back so they can be put into a position to learn. That's just my recommendation.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead. Thank you, Dr. Whitelaw.
Next item, purchase order approval for Lemoyne Owen College and Hollis F. Price. We bring this to you all every year. It is just recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the purchase order in the amount of $175,000. The purchase order provides eligible high school students at Hollis F. Price with the opportunity to earn both college and high school graduation credits upon completion of the qualified courses. The dual enrollment agreement between Memphis-Shelby County Schools and Lemoyne Owen College offers our high school students at Hollis F. Price, which is on the campus of Lemoyne Owen, the opportunity to continue to earn college credits while still completing their high school education. Next slide. And if you look at the graduation rate in 2022-23, 100%, 23-24, 95.8, 24-25, 100%. Currently, the expected outcome that we want eligible and enrolled Hollis F. Price students, and we want them to graduate with college credits, definitely working with our 9th graders, 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders. Again, the financial impact is $175,000.
Board Member McKinney.
Thank you. I just want to bring to our attention that this is an example of a small school environment working very well for our students. And this is a great opportunity to think about as we're regionalizing and thinking about how we're going to do our schools and with the facilities plan and how we use our buildings, thinking creatively and innovatively about how we can structure smaller schools like this, doing this kind of work. I went to their graduation and it was phenomenal. A young lady graduated and she's gonna be a junior this fall. So just imagine that you're 18 years old and you'll be out, you know, in 2 years or less. So I just want us to think, board and staff, how we can be creative, particularly with micro schools and those kind of things that we're thinking about. But this is a great model.
Thank you, Board Member Kinney. And also, we echo that same sentiment, especially around Hollis F. Price Medical District, just our small schools, and along with our comprehensive high schools. So we take that advice and feedback.
Thank you, Dr. Law. Thank you, Chief Broadway. I did have one more thing to add since Dr. Richard was not here, so this is for Tito, I guess. We just echo my colleagues' mention of the RFP and the transparency, the process being transparent. I know you guys mentioned that we would bring everything afterwards as far as who applied and, you know, opportunity for local vendors. Can we bring those RFPs before they're closed so that at least you can make a mention? No, I'm not able to do that. So they'll just have to pretty much figure out, go onto the website and figure out what's. Well, no, just the not the vendors that apply. What I'm saying is the initial announcement. That's all I'm saying.
So one of the things we do is, the things we do is we advertise every bid that we do, not just on our website. We do it also in a local newspaper and for the broader public as well. So we send out RFPs down. We also, if we know of vendors that we currently use who may subscribe to the service, we do a local courtesy to them. But if we don't know, we do the local newspapers on our websites. We tweet it out from our procurement site. So we do a wide range of publications when we do RFPs.
Sounds good. Any other questions? All right, this meeting's adjourned for the academic committee. You want me to roll through procurement? All right. Procurement, opening discussion. 2.01.
Good evening, board members. I've got, I think, 3 items for you this evening. The first one is a change order to some files digitization that we're doing. When the district received the students and records from the Martin Luther King College Prep High School and Fairleigh High School, we, of course, received all the records that had been at those locations, not just for current students, but former students also. And my team over the years has worked to no longer maintain physical copies, but yet digitized copies. And the original estimate we got for the work was $91,815.69, which was below the threshold for bringing it to the board. But once RICO got the boxes, there was a lot more records involved than they realized from the original estimate. And so we're having to increase that amount by $39,271, which brings it up to $131,000. And so that's why we're bringing it before the board, such that we can finish the digitization of these records and not have to store all of the boxes in the physical records.
I have a question.
Okay.
The records are stored here.
Well, they are digitized and stored on a server in the cloud, so to speak. And so, and we would access them from here. The actual boxes are actually with RICO right now to be digitized.
Question, how much does it cost for a parent to get a copy of their students' records?
So, it's been a while since I've looked at those fees.
Yeah.
They are on our website, and I could pull those up. Typically, a parent, if the child is still active with us,
Yeah.
then they're going to get that for free. It's when you become an alumni and you're getting your own record that there might be a processing fee for that. But if you're a current parent and you're just wanting to see a copy of your child's record, then there's no fee for that.
Thank you.
Are the, do we have to do this because these schools came back to the, why is this happening now, or is this a result of closures, or?
It's because these schools came back to Memphis-Shelby County Schools. So they were out there with the ASD, and the ASD was the custodian of the records at the time, and now we're now the custodian of those records.
Can we invoice the state? I mean, there does seem to be a case for like the closeout of schools that returned to the district that they had claimed that they were going to turn around and then handed back with no efficiencies. So I do think it is, we should at minimum know what those costs are too, and make that as part of our overall, I don't know if it's part of a legislative agenda, and I'm kind of being cheeky, but not. There are real costs associated with taking schools back on, so I would love us to at least just keep track of that.
I don't disagree, and I believe we do track all of those costs as part of what we call our SCORP process for when we are essentially dealing with the closure or the opening of a school.
Okay, so we do count these costs as part of that?
I think so, Mr. Langston, yes.
No, yeah, we should keep the receipts. Okay, yes, okay, thank you.
.02 pre-act assessment for grades 8 through 10.
Yeah, this is something that we brought before the board for the first time last year, which is giving the pre-ACT assessment. Prior to that, we had been giving the PSAT, but the state requires our students to take the ACT, and that is the test that most of our students end up taking, and most students statewide take the ACT. So we switched last year thinking, well, let's go ahead and get our 8th, 9th, and 10th graders better prepared for the ACT and get some preliminary data as they're progressing. And so that's what this does. It allows all of our 8th, 9th, and 10th graders to take the pre-ACT such that we have those data, and it's essentially a practice test aligned with the ACT, such that we can begin in the middle grades and early in high school looking for where their deficits are and what their strengths are so we can better prepare them for the ACT.
2.03 Open Text Corporation.
So this is another digitization, and that's a hard word to say, item, where we, in the early days of our digitization, which goes back to Memphis City Schools, quite frankly, we used a software back then called Documentum. We have since changed software, but we still have files that we need to be able to access with Documentum. And part of the steps that we're going through is also, once we have the access with Documentum, working on a conversion from those files such that everything's on the same system. But we do need to renew or approve the professional services agreement with a company called Open Text who owns Documentum, such that we can continue to access some of those historical records that we've got digitized, and that cost there is $88,748. And this is coming to you because even though it's kind of a software issue, it does involve professional services for installing the software, and so therefore it's above the $75,000 threshold for professional services.
2.04 Treadwell roof replacement contract date amendment.
Thank you. That is simply a date amendment for an extra month and a half on the Treadwell roof, which is almost complete. The amendment takes it out to October 18, 2025, no cost.
Awesome. 2.05 naming of Fairley High School auditorium.
This was submitted by the school and Fairley community to name the auditorium after Pastor Robert J. Matthews, per policy. He taught at Mitchell for a year, Wooddale Junior High for 8 years, and Fairley for 25 years, and has mentored many students, and they want to honor him with this naming.
2.06 donation acceptance, Middle College High.
That'll be me. So this is a donation acceptance for Middle College. Mr. Bill Courtney, if you remember, is the CEO of Hardwood Classic. But if you remember back, I believe when I was in high school, Mr. Courtney was the football coach at Manassas, in the film Undefeated, which was featured Manassas when they went defeated the year before. So Mr. Courtney is now donating $57,669.80 to Middle College for the purchase of equipment specifically for football uniforms and helmets.
Awesome. 2.07 mobile surveillance trailer systems.
Yes, this is a recommendation that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the purchase request for ProTech Professional Technology, Inc. in the amount of $612,337.73 for the purchase of 20 mobile surveillance trailer systems. Now, the purpose of this trailer system is they're going to be, acquired to enhance the security and deter unauthorized access to vacant district properties. These units will provide real-time monitoring capabilities, helping protect district assets and assure public safety. By deploying these surveillance trailers, the district will demonstrate its commitment to be proactive risk management and responsible stewardship of its facilities. Description and background: the mobile surveillance trailer systems are self-contained units. They're equipped with advanced cameras, motion sensors, and communication tools that are designed for remote monitoring. They offer flexibility deployment in areas without permanent infrastructure, making them ideal for temporary or high-risk security situations. These trailers will serve as a powerful deterrent against criminal activities while enabling real-time surveillance and rapid response.
Thank you. 2.08 warranty renewal of weapons detection bag scanner.
Yes, this is a recommendation that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the purchase request for Line V systems in the amount of $147,952.18 for the purchase of a renewal warranty for 1 year on approximately 77 X-ray machines that we purchased last year. This maintenance warranty is critical because the state requires maintenance service and annual inspections on those machines.
2.09 AED medical
I
doctor.
have a question.
I'm sorry.
I have a question. So the 147,000, I know that's a warranty for 1 year. What's the total cost of these X-ray machines as we think about they're getting older and we're going to keep potentially putting good money after bad, or do we cut our losses and invest in new machines maybe over time? But just asking.
So the machine's average cost is between 25 and 30,000. But if you keep up your maintenance agreement on them, they will last you probably 15 to 20 years. For these, this is the first year. We bought them last year. They're brand new. Yes, all of our middle and high schools have the X-ray machines in them. You're welcome.
2.09 AED medical doctor contract.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Ferris. I'm with Risk Management, and we are asking the board to recommend the approval of a 3-year contract for emergency medical resources in the amount of $15,000. That's total for 3 years. This is we're required by Tennessee law to review our AED program annually, as well as anytime an AED is used in a school. We have to have a medical physician review that data prior to reporting that. And we currently have a contract in place with the district, and so we're just recommending a 3-year contract now. And yeah, so we've had 4 AEDs that were used this last school year, and pretty much kind of keeping on track with what we've had the previous year. So and then we have it listed there. The evaluation of the program would be also done by the medical doctor. You have any questions?
No questions. Thank you. Any further questions? All right, that concludes procurement committee meeting. On to evaluation.
This will be very brief. I know we're trying to get out before the storm. To my colleagues, in February, we have to do an evaluation of interim superintendent Richmond, if he's still in this seat. We have to do an evaluation of him in February. So I'm bringing the current evaluation tool that we were in the process of using, and I wanted you all to go over this and see the weights, and if we want to change any of them, if we want to adjust them, if we want to just get away from this one and do a whole different one. We need to start working on that as soon as possible. You don't have to give me feedback today, but just so you can start looking over it to see I'm cool with the numbers, and it goes into what the student achievement, the weight, and what those areas are. So if you don't want those, if we want to scrap this and start over, we just need to get started on it, start looking over it so we can start preparing for it as soon as possible.
I have a question. I think we should look at his contract again, because I think there's a mid-year evaluation.
It's after the February evaluation.
Okay, so it's not during the first 6 months?
No, it's
Okay.
after the February evaluation. That's why I was standing out talking with General Counsel to make sure that I was right.
Okay.
That when we do him in February, and then 6 months later, again, this is contingent on him still being our superintendent or whatever we've done.
Okay.
It will be 6 months after that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I was just gonna add, if we could, maybe we can, it's probably not included in our retreat, but maybe we can bring some suggestions during that time, potentially.
You can.
All right.
You can.
And will, interim superintendent have a chance to weigh in on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all.
There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.